The week of the NFL draft. And Johnny.
The reek?
Well,
it could. I hope not.
I have the utmost confidence with this Philadelphia Eagles team that I don't think it will reek. What does reek is the Phillies bullpen. We'll talk about that today as well. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
I don't know what the Sixers' plan is, but I've said that for 2 years. The Sixers are stuck on, they're going to try to convince you that this can still be fixed. The Phillies have plenty of time to fix this.
When I say, can someone explain to me what they're doing? Like, I still think the Phillies are a playoff team, whereas I don't know the direction the Sixers are going in.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Monday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, good morning. Happy draft week.
And it's a good Easter Monday to you. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing fantastic. No, the week will not reek for the Philadelphia Eagles. At least
Let's
I don't
hope not.
think we'll get into that.
What about the Phils playing the Mets?
Well, we'll see about that.
Let's
but
hope
all I
that
know is
doesn't reek.
the weekend did reek, at least for the bullpen. We'll talk a lot about the Titans later on in the 7 o'clock hour. But as we've reached draft week, we've been talking about this draft a lot over the last month. It's amazing when your team wins the Super Bowl because the offseason kind of just starts right away, and you blink, and you're already 3 weeks into April.
We're here.
And we're still celebrating. We call it a Championship Monday here on Kincade and Salciunas because the Eagles won the Super Bowl, which, damn, does that still feel good to say. But we've already reached the draft because of how quick the NFL offseason flies by. And, Johnny, I am in just such a state of bliss and a state of confidence with this Eagles team that whatever formula they have when it comes to their evaluation with the draft, right?
Okay.
I know that it was bad 5 years ago, and there were some drafts before that. But as everybody does in life, everybody adapts to what they've done in the past, things that they can get better with, things that they can totally, completely reverse, which the trajectory of the draft was going in a very bad way for the Eagles. Whatever they have figured out, scouting department, how they read the draft board just so excellently last year with Quinyon Mitchell in the first round, knowing when to trade up for Cooper DeJean, knowing when to trade up a couple years ago for Devontae Smith, knowing to jump the New York Giants who needed a wide receiver, and they got caught with their pants down and get Kadarius Toney. Whatever the Eagles' plan is right now, Johnny, it seems foolproof.
Okay, I like that. I was a little concerned about the first comment you made, though, that you're in that feeling of bliss.
Yeah.
Are you getting into that post-Super Bowl, though? Oh, my gosh, like I know Mike and Bill talk about it. The euphoria of the Super Bowl, and it's sort of carrying over to you that you're maybe taking your eye off the ball as far as your critical nature.
No, because if the Eagles draft a wide receiver at pick 32, I will have words. I will have plenty. I have a lot to say about Philadelphia sports.
You do.
Right? Like, I think that would be a horrible pick. But here's the deal, John. I don't think they are drafting a wide receiver at pick 32.
I don't think they are either.
I have that confidence right now.
That feeling of bliss, though. I mean, I love it. We're maneuvering the Super Bowl wall down in the Kincade this weekend, and I got some nice, the NFL official pictures of the Cooper pick 6 and also of the dagger. And I put them up on the wall this weekend, and I got to tell you, I felt that bliss.
Yeah.
I felt that. And then within minutes, all I'm talking about is, we got draft Thursday night. So I told Christina, I said, I'll probably sleep on the couch downstairs because I might be up till midnight.
Right. Absolutely.
So I might just sleep downstairs. All of a sudden, my thing was like, that wall is great, but what's next?
No, you want more.
What's next?
Oh, dude, absolutely.
No, but I didn't feel that way as much the first time.
Oh, I did.
I did.
Yeah, I did.
See, now that's the difference.
I was ready to go.
See, that's the difference. You talk fat and happy.
Yeah.
I was fat bastard. I was sitting there on the couch rubbing my belly after the first one.
No, to be clear,
everything was glorious.
Me coming out of the gate, this is not me being fat and happy. This is just me being totally confident that the Eagles will continue to hit in the draft, that the Eagles will continue to make good decisions, even though
having all those draft picks certainly helps.
It does. And even though they overcame bad decisions last year, right? Like, let's not ignore the Eagles did sign Bryce Huff to a big contract, but they found a way to overcome that issue. They did sign Zach Bond, and they would be lying to your face.
There's a bad linebacker signing in there, too.
Yeah.
There's another
with
one.
Devin White.
So, I mean, hey.
But they would lie to your face if they said that they knew Zach Bond would become the player that he became. Like, maybe they thought more highly of Zach Bond than the New Orleans Saints and other teams, but there's no way they thought that he would be as good as he was this past year and now making the contract that he deserved because of the season that he had last year. But all I know is even if the Eagles make a mistake, I have a feeling that they will find a way to correct it. Just to kind of tie into the Phillies here, I thought they made mistakes. You thought they made mistakes with their bullpen. They didn't really have backup plans.
They didn't.
And their hope was that a guy like Jordan Romano, who we'll talk about later on the show as well,
do we have to?
Would be this replacement to Jeff Hoffman and Carlos Estevez, and he's not. Whereas the Eagles, man, you know what? They could make a signing that might not work out, but they have the right people in this organization. Vic Fangio is the right person with this organization to say, you know what? We're going to play the right people. We're going to play the best players that deserve to be on the field, and that got them to a Super Bowl, and they won it.
He is, and I feel good about that big time. I'm looking at that 4-for-4 thing and the way they've gone about their drafting, and I feel really, really good about it. I feel really, really good that I think they can maneuver at any part of the draft because of their picks. And there's a lot of talent there. I mean, there's a lot of talent that it almost takes when you take the A-list talent off the board. The Eagles are not in the mix for the guys who are like A-plus candidates in this draft because they're not going to be able to pick in that realm. You're not going to get to the top 8-10 guys in the draft. I feel extremely confident they can navigate the next aisle.
Yeah.
The next aisle of the not as elite, but guys that absolutely could develop into being A guys when they get to the NFL.
And then, other than the draft, if you think back to last week, we did a topic on our biggest concern going into the 2025 season. We also did our thing we're most confident, right?
Yeah.
So mine was Saquon Barkley coming off of this past season, the amount of workload that he had.
It's crazy.
Here's the deal. He's going to have a bit of a comeback down to earth like season, but I don't think it's going to kill the team. Like, my biggest concern
unless it's injury.
Right, unless it's some sort of major injury.
Which, by the way, has been the norm. The norm. Overwhelmingly for guys who have carried the ball as much as Saquon did last season.
Right.
That history would tell you injury is coming. Whether it's major injury that debilitates him or whether it's a short-term injury, that remains to be seen.
And hopefully if there is an injury short term.
Hopefully that's what it would be.
But even still, man, like, Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl MVP.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, think about that for a second. I know that Saquon was their best player last year. And Saquon Barkley is the reason why they had all that success in the regular season. Or one of the biggest reasons. Obviously, the defense being number one helps too. But if Saquon Barkley goes down, I have the Super Bowl MVP at my starting quarterback with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and eventually probably a rookie tight end that they're going to get in the second round. Like, even my biggest concern, I think they completely overcome.
Okay.
And then yours was Patullo, but I mean, I won't be able to judge that till the season starts.
Yeah, the Patullo thing still.
I didn't like it that it was a very quick hiring process.
I don't like the fact, again, that they decided to turn over a Super Bowl defense, Super Bowl offense type of thing, like they did in 22. You have an offense in 24, you get to toss the keys to somebody, and you toss it to someone who is not a hot commodity in the NFL, is not somebody that people think is one of the bright offensive minds. I think that's a distinct step back.
But is it
until he proves it to me?
Is it worth your concern in April?
Yeah.
But what if he's great? What if he's like the best offensive coordinator in the world?
Well, then that would be a complete shocker. And every other team, every other team in the NFL had a chance to know who this guy was. And said,
I got you.
Yeah, we good. Never poaching him, never getting him promoted to a position of really had any kind of power. And it's going to be like, no, but we're going to toss you the keys to the Super Bowl champions. It will continue to be my greatest concern.
And it could be quickly, you could feel better in week one.
I'm not going to feel good in week one. Depends on what happens.
What if it's the most explosive offense in the season?
Yeah, like the Chip Kelly debut game.
Right, like all of a sudden you're going, oh wait, this guy does know what he's doing. Like, your concern could be, you could feel better about it one game into the season.
I might, and I might feel crappy about it 4 games. I mean, like, seriously, you can't. One game's not going to do it for me. I'm going to have to see some sustained results, just as I wouldn't rip the offense and say, this offense is going to stink and be terrible after one. I'm going to give it time. But it absolutely could freak me out.
I'm just in such a place of comfort.
You are.
With
I'm
this
always
Eagles
worried
team
about
right now.
I'm almost concerned about it.
Why?
Because I want you on edge, dude. I want you on edge.
Why do you?
We don't want to be on
You're
edge.
a bad friend.
No, I want you on edge. I want you to not be. Well, it'll all work out. Don't be Rob Thompson on me. I don't want Rob Thompson. I want to do a show with Rob
No,
Thompson.
but I have nothing to react to right now. Like I'm talking about
I got you.
The
I know
draft on
that.
Thursday.
I got you.
If they draft 7 wide receivers, I'll complain about it Monday
There you go.
morning of next week.
I got you. I'm not
They're
worried
gonna
about
do
that.
it.
No.
So have the Eagles as an organization become somewhat foolproof? We'd love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. Coming up next, Johnny, I did my first national show yesterday on ESPN.
I heard it. I
the
sent
people-
you notes.
The people outside of Philadelphia, they're jealous. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
Brandon Marsh is hitting $1.08. Dombrowski gets paid a lot of money to come up with.
6:15 here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. So, Johnny, yesterday was my debut on ESPN Radio.
I heard a little bit of each hour.
Well, I appreciate you listening.
A little bit of each hour. I had the app up.
I worked with John Michaels, who you know from your
Yep.
time in Atlanta.
Good dude, John. Really nice
Producers
guy.
Evan and Cam. Cam also an Atlanta resident, and Evan a Jets fan.
Okay.
So I was working with two Falcons. Well, one Falcons fan, a guy that works in Atlanta,
Yes.
who's more of a Florida fan,
He's a Dolphins
Miami
fan.
Dolphins fan, and then Evan a New York Jets fan. And I get it. The Eagles won the Super Bowl, so everybody's always jealous of the Super Bowl champion. But, dude, the way they talked about the Eagles on and off the air, it's exactly what you've been wanting.
Yes.
People wanting to be the Eagles. People wanting their team to be the Eagles. And I got that sense from three different people from three different fan bases yesterday.
And two of them you were working with, though, spend their working lives talking about Georgia football.
Right.
As arguably one of the top stories. So it crushes them to see all the talent. And we don't understand it here because we don't talk college football.
Yeah, we're not the biggest college football town.
I talked college football for a quarter century of my life where we talked as much college football day to day as we do Phillies.
Right.
Okay? So to me, them getting to know these players as well as they do, they're working on the official Georgia Bulldogs sports talk station. And then seeing them go to the Eagles,
Yeah.
a team they hate, a city they hate.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
how did
the hate was there.
Oh,
Don't get me wrong.
there.
The hate
But
was
I'm
there.
telling you, they're going nuts. It drives them crazy.
You know, when, Philly guy. I heard that right away yesterday. It's like,
exactly.
damn right, man.
I mean, believe me,
damn
they don't-
right a Philly guy's here.
They don't like Philly. We joke. They gave away tickets on afternoon drive on my old radio station.
Yeah.
And the key was when you heard the keyword F. Kincade.
Yes.
That was the keyword.
Seems like you made an impact.
I haven't gone for 5 years.
Yeah.
And they still, F. Kincade. When you hear F. Kincade, that was the way you won your tickets to that night.
But here's the deal.
The jealousy runs deep.
Well, and
It
why
runs deep.
is there jealousy with the Eagles? Because what they're doing is so successful. And what they're doing at the same time, by the way, John, is just not overthinking it.
Correct.
Like, all right, Saquon Barkley, that signing was kind of out of left field, something that the Eagles don't typically do. But last year, they didn't overthink it. Oh, we need a corner? All right, let's go get a corner. 2 years before that, all right, we need top talent. There's a guy available out of Georgia, or the year before that, there's a guy available out of Georgia, or the year before that,
Yes,
there's a
exactly.
guy available out of Alabama. The Philadelphia Eagles, in the last couple of years, either via draft or free agency, and oh, by the way, Saquon Barkley's not totally overthinking it because it's Saquon Barkley, right? Like, it's
No,
not
it's
like
not.
they, like the Chicago Bears overpaying for DeAndre Swift was overthinking it. The Eagles signing Saquon Barkley, it may be different than what the Eagles do, but talent is talent. And that's part of the jealousy. There are people that see what the Eagles do and go, why doesn't my team just do that?
I can go back on Twitter and just look at my history and say over and over again, why are the Eagles shopping at these bargain basement stores
Right.
when the SEC stores are wide open? And for years, they just didn't do a good job of it. But they learned their lesson. And the minute they charted course and corrected course, then you already getting enough talent. If you go and shop at some of the off-brand places, like in Akron or something like that,
Right.
you're not worried about it because you say you've shopped at enough of the good stores that you know you've stocked yourself up.
Right. That's why
I love their strategy.
That's why you can take a risk in Jalix Hunt.
Correct.
Last year, whereas the mistake a couple years ago was Davion Taylor when you didn't have enough bones on the team.
Correct.
And you're drafting a guy that didn't play football until college. The Eagles recently have found a foolproof plan, in my opinion. I don't know exactly what that plan is, but they find you time and time again making the right decision. I just have that state of confidence. Would love to hear from you if you're there as well, 610-632-0975. But coming up next, speaking of the SEC, Johnny, there's a player that a lot of people had circled for the Eagles at 32. He may go earlier now, according to one draft expert. Question is, can the Eagles trade up and get him? John Kincade will tell you the costs next. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Monday morning, the week of the NFL Draft, here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Up Update.
The Phils give away a win. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies gave one away on Easter Sunday in their series finale with the Marlins. They lost 7-5 in 10 innings after leading 4-2 in the 8th. The bullpen was an issue multiple times in the series, so of course Rob Thompson was asked about it after the game yesterday.
Again, it's just part of the season, and I think that'll even itself out over time. But we played so many close games there for a long period of time that, yeah, we did lean on them. But they're a pretty resilient group.
Well, they didn't seem resilient this weekend. We'll see if they can bounce back from that. The Phils did still win the series. They'll look to use that as momentum in a big series with the Mets at Citi Field that begins tonight. Game 1 is at 7:10. Aaron Nola faces off against Tyler McGill. The NBA and NHL playoffs have gotten underway, but of course both the Sixers and Flyers off seasons have already begun. Neither of them playoff teams. And the NFL draft comes your way Thursday. We're going to keep you updated on everything you need to know with the Eagles in one of the biggest weeks of the NFL offseason. To help us do that, we'll talk to Freddy Coleman of ESPN Radio coming up at 9:10. This update is brought to you by Summit Racing Equipment. Revive your ride at summitracing.com. Use promo code radio for $10 off an order of $100 or more. Exclusions apply. Offer ends 5/4/25. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Ricky Vitalico.
Alec Bohm. He had a 2-0 count for a big guy like him, and he should be up.
Philadelphia Eagles, the comfort level that I have in them right now to just continue to be a machine, continue to make the right decisions starting Thursday during the NFL draft and even post-draft, right? That second, third wave of free agency where we always see the Eagles pick up somebody that ends up making some sort of an impact, even if it's a guy like Patrick Robinson, right? Back in the Super Bowl 52, the NFC Championship game, a guy that wasn't even close to being ready for the start of the season. I remember him saying, I'm still at only like 50%. This was during the preseason. And he makes one of the biggest impactful plays in Eagles history.
I'm more worried about Howie with trades than I do with not trades on draft night.
Yeah, trades on draft night. He's great.
But his more of trades that he makes during the course of seasons and things like that to try to fill holes. Howie
like Byard sucked 2 years ago.
Howie trying to fill holes is sort of where it's my least trusted Howie of all his different personalities that are out there.
I got you.
Howie trying to plug a leak by going and making a trade in season is probably my least trusted Howie.
Okay, that's fair.
I think he goes for brand names that usually there's a reason that they're quite available, and he usually ends up paying more than he should. Like I'm going to tell you, Jahan Dotson, no matter what anybody wants to say of it, that was not a good move. It was not a good move.
Well, let's see how year two plays out for him.
He overpaid.
One for one in Super Bowls.
That's right.
He absolutely overpaid for Jahan Dotson. That was not a and better receivers went later in the season for a lot less.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Later in the season,
for a lot less.
Which is a little bit different.
They didn't need Jahan Dotson in training camp last year. They did not.
Yeah, but you could make the case at training camp you're going to learn the offense more. Where if you acquire a player in week
how'd that work out
8,
for you?
Did it work out great?
They were talking about him not understanding the offense in December.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I mean, that's how bad it was.
I'm not going to use. I'm just saying, Jahan Dotson shouldn't be the only example, right?
No. But I think
if you acquire a player during training camp.
Well, you're talking about. I mean, you brought about Byard. Byard was a horrible acquisition.
Yeah, that was bad. I didn't like that one.
A horrible acquisition. The guy they got from the Bears, the defensive tackle they got from the.
What
Bears.
was it, like Robert Quinn or something?
Robert Quinn, atrocious. I mean, like
Jannard Avery.
Jannard Avery. Howie trying to plug holes in the course of the season has been the worst version of Howie.
Yeah, other than free agents, because Ndamukong Suh, Linval Joseph midseason worked
that
out
was
for
great.
them.
That was absolutely
pretty well.
great.
But again, those guys are out there.
They were sitting there on the. By the way, asking to be Eagles.
Right, exactly, which helps. Now, draft the last 5 years has been spectacular for the Philadelphia Eagles, or the last 4 drafts.
Yeah, not 5.
They've been well. They did get their franchise quarterback 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Upcoming on Thursday, Eagles have the 32nd overall pick, and there's been a name that a lot of people have been circling for the Eagles.
We set him on overnight tonight.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of the SEC, because the Eagles like to shop there. Finally, Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. Now, this is one of those players where, in the beginning of the draft process or mock drafts, he was going in the early 20s, teens, and then all of a sudden, as the draft process continues, you get through the combine, you get through the quarterbacks are all of a sudden on the rise. He falls to 32 in all the mock drafts. And it makes you wonder.
And it's around where he's fallen, towards the back end of the first round.
So now we've reached the final week of draft talk before the draft itself, and now he's back on the rise again. Who knows what's real? Who knows what's fake? We won't really find out until Thursday. But Daniel Jeremiah, who does a great job covering the draft for the NFL Network, if you remember the big story on day 2 of the NFL draft when the Eagles selected Jalix Hunt out of Houston Christian, remember Daniel Jeremiah had best players available on NFL Network, and Jalix Hunt was there, and Howie Roseman joked about wanting to call Daniel Jeremiah to try to get that removed because he didn't want somebody to sneak in and take Jalix Hunt.
Well, Pacheco had also been talking about him here locally, and he was being followed around for a few days by guys in a car.
So he was asked about pick 32 if Walter Nolan could fall there, and here's what Daniel Jeremiah had to say, quote, "I would say it's unlikely that he falls that low. He's just too explosive, and in a passing league, I can't see him getting there. But if you asked me if Nolan Smith was going to get there, I would have said no. If you would have asked me if Cooper DeJean was going to be there in the second round, I would have said no. You always prepare for it. You always be pleasantly surprised of who falls. I would not anticipate that he would drop that far. He thinks, by the way, that he could go around 15. So, Johnny.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well,
okay, that would be way off to me. Like, that would be way off. That would be the draft experts got it wrong this year. Hey, big time. If he goes in the mid-teens, then they were absolutely completely wrong.
Well, last week when we did the Field Yates, Mel Kiper did the back and forth mock draft, Yates had him going, I think, 16 to Cincinnati.
I think Yates is a smart guy.
Yeah, I do too.
I think he's smart. So I'm anxious to see that. The only thing is that with Cincinnati, the only reason I didn't like it when he did that is that they've got to rebuild the offensive line.
Yeah, they have a lot that they do.
They have to. No, they're not rebuild because they've never had one.
Yeah.
They have to build an offensive line.
Right.
And so I don't see them using that pick on that.
Now, I can't imagine the Eagles would jump from 32 to 15. I don't think that's happening for any player in this draft. No. But you have sort of the science or the math in front of you about how much it actually costs to move up a few picks. Remember, 26 has been the spot that a lot of people have said if the Eagles traded up, 26 would be the spot.
What number are we going to work at? Because where the Eagles are working right now, I have their number.
Let's go with 26.
What number? So 26.
And that would be the Rams, just for everybody out there.
And I do not believe there is a chance in hell, knowing the Rams GM, Les Snead, I don't believe that Les Snead is trading with the Eagles.
Oh, okay. Out of spite?
No, I think just this year. I mean, it's this year. I just think that's not it.
All right, then let's go 27.
Okay,
with Baltimore.
no. Let's think about it. Okay, let's go 27
with Baltimore.
27 could happen. So 27 with Baltimore. This is not out of the question. Not out of the question at all. I don't think with the teams that we're talking about, and more importantly, the value. Do you know right now to be able to get to Baltimore's pick? The Eagles, now I am using what the majority of NFL teams, there are all different trade charts that are out there, and I heard our boy Bill Colarulo using the Jimmy Johnson.
I heard that last week too, yeah.
The Jimmy Johnson trade chart, though, and Thomas Dimitroff will tell you, is probably being used by 6 or 7 teams now.
Okay.
No more than 25% of the league. The number one trade chart that is used, and anybody that's in our listening audience can Google this, is the Fitzgerald-Spielberger draft trade chart.
Okay.
Fitzgerald-Spielberger is used by around...
Great director.
Is used by around 17 teams.
Love Jaws.
So figure half the teams in the NFL use this as their trade value chart.
Good quarterback.
It's the majority position out there.
Sorry.
So to go from where the Eagles are to go to 27 would require 86 points on a draft chart.
Okay.
Dude, that's like nothing.
What is 86 points?
86 points would be most of the time going by history, and they even give you some scenarios when you research the Fitzgerald-Spielberger chart. They even give you what scenarios usually happen. Because they usually involve pick swaps, teams usually shift positions in later rounds.
Okay.
So what that would be, and I went and did that same thing. I did it for 27, so I thank you for saving me the work there, is you would give up a 5th-round pick, and then you would do a pick swap of a 5th-round pick.
And you have
with Baltimore.
And you have like
so
you'd
shift like 5 positions.
Yeah.
With Baltimore on a 5th-round pick. So Baltimore would get, would maybe go, there'd maybe be a shift of position. And then you'd give up a 5th-round pick. So in one of the 5th rounds, you trade up to Baltimore's. Baltimore would trade back to yours. And then you'd give up a 5th-round pick. Yeah. They'd get one of your other ones.
I'm totally fine with that.
I am completely fine with that. It is such an easy move to go from 32 to 27. It's such a simple move. The only thing that, once again, complicates anything like this is how many people at that time are shopping for that pick.
Right, exactly. Is there a bidding war for the 27th overall pick?
But even if there was a bidding war, what if you had to throw in a 7th-round pick?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
You're doing it. There's nothing to move up 32 to 27.
So I'll ask the audience this question at 610-632-0975, because I do know there's a lot of draft nuts out there.
Oh, yeah.
Are you open to the Eagles trading away picks to move up a couple of spots in the first round? Because let's face it, there are a lot of needs that the Eagles have, right? They need a tight end. They need a safety. They need another corner. They need more offensive and defensive linemen. So if you're talking about moving up, you are going to start moving away from some picks. Do you want the Eagles to be aggressive enough where they are shopping away picks in a draft where they do need to start adding to a lot of depth with this team? You can also answer that question at 610-632-0975. We'll check our text line for the first time this morning coming up next. Are you sort of in this state of zen that I'm in? I am in a state of zen with this Eagles team, John.
Can I join you?
Yes. Are you
I'm
not?
there.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I just wanted permission.
All right, well,
to be
I
part
want
of
you
the Zen.
to speak on this more coming up next as well before we check our text line. Because right now, there's nothing the Eagles that I don't believe they will do that can hurt my opinion when it comes to them. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson.
I believe that Turner and Harper and Cassie.
The Eagles until the next thing they do that pisses me off. But I don't really think that's going to happen, Johnny.
That's good because we're not getting it from the other teams. That's good.
Yeah, I know. Well, trust me, 7 o'clock hour, we start with the Phillies. And it's interesting. I'm going to get Connor's thoughts on this in a second. I know that you are confident in the Eagles, but it has been interesting over the last month or two. Every once in a while, you bring up something that leads to conversation, right? The gauntlet already kind of looking ahead to the schedule, and it's going to be difficult. Patullo. Last week you did the Vic Fangio year 1 to year 2 as a defensive coordinator.
Correct.
So you are not in that same state of zen.
I'm not in the. How about this? I am not going to ever be in the pom-pom shakers realm as much as I want to be.
This is not pom-pom shaking.
As much as I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of people are in big-time pom-pom.
They're the Super Bowl champs. They deserve pom-pom shaking.
Yeah, so
They are, but not about the issues I brought up.
But is it pom-pom shaking?
Not about
Maybe
the
they
issue.
do.
No, they don't, though.
But,
Unless they can make an argument that says it right there. That somebody knows what they're going to
But do
be.
I have to sit here in fetal position on April 21st?
You don't have to be in the fetal position. You can just acknowledge that it's real.
And I've acknowledged it. But I'm not ready to start going oh, man, Patullo could be a disaster. I don't know. Or he could be really good. I don't know.
How about...
I won't know until September, October, November.
Could he be? Sure. Is he a commodity that nobody in the NFL has ever even sniffed at?
Yep.
Never asked for interviews? Never. That worries me big time because that tells me, this could be another one of their hires where they're going with the buddy hire.
And then we talk about the gauntlet. How come we can't say that those teams see the Eagles and go, oh, damn, we got to play the Eagles in week 4 or in week 7 or in week 2? The Eagles are the Super Bowl champions.
But then that's every week. That's every week.
Yeah, every week. But the opposing team has to see the Eagles and go, man, this is going to be a tough game for
I got you. Unfortunately, though, the Eagles' schedule is the most difficult road schedule the franchise has ever had.
As of April 21st.
So what are you talking about there?
The season could play out in a certain way where one team stinks. Maybe there's an injury. You never know.
No, you could have one team. If you want to tell me that one of those teams is going to, I guarantee it, that'll happen. And you know what's also going to happen? One of those teams is going to end up being the Washington Commanders.
It could be.
That you don't think's going to be.
But I can't worry about stuff on April 21st.
But you do.
Which is why I'm in Zen.
But you do, though.
With
we all do.
The
That's
Eagles?
that's what you do. We do these things.
No, we do different stuff now that they're 2-time Super Bowl champions.
Look, the day the Patullo hiring was official.
Yes.
I did not like that was the decision, that there seemed to be very little outside parties that were available, right?
Yep.
But that also happened over a month ago, right? So on April 21st, I can't continue to worry about Kevin Patullo. I'll worry about Kevin Patullo once the season starts. When we start building up our week 1 coverage, right? You know we're going to be doing that here on Kincade Salciunas on the Thursday, right? Because the Eagles will be opening up the season. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of that week, we'll talk about Kevin Patullo. We'll try to talk to people that know Patullo. Hey, what kind of offensive mind is he? Because I don't know. I don't know if he's a pass-happy offensive guy. I don't know if he's a run-happy guy. I don't know if he's a tight end-heavy guy. I have no idea.
You know why you don't know? Is because he's been around the NFL freaking forever.
Yeah.
By the way, I've teased something I've already got for this week.
Okay, good.
The Kevin Patullo career timeline in the NFL. And I'm going to tell you what other NFL coordinators and coaches have done in their careers in that same timeline.
Okay.
Same amount of seasons. How fast did they become an OC? How fast did they become an NFL head coach? How fast did they win a Super Bowl? It's going to scare the crap out of you.
See, why are you trying to scare me?
Yeah,
because
why are you trying to bring me down?
Because you know why? No, I don't want to. But I want to have an informed opinion. And the informed opinion says, why is this guy continually toiled absolutely out of the spotlight, where guys get poached in the NFL all the time because NFL teams know. They know who the bright minds are. They know who the up-and-coming guys are. Could Kevin Patullo be that Kurt Warner type story?
Maybe.
Where he comes out of nowhere and everyone goes, wow, everybody missed the boat on Kevin Patullo. Absolutely. Do I think that will be the story? I do not.
Yeah, but you know, why is the informed opinion the negative? Or why you should be concerned?
I want to have an informed opinion on, my opinion is they've hired a guy who appears to not be a hot commodity.
Correct.
And not be an accomplished guy.
Yeah.
So I want to have an informed opinion. Not you, but mine are all facts.
Yeah, but no. Well, hang on.
But I can give you another fact. We don't know if he's good or not.
Exactly. It feels like you're
That's already a fact. That's not a fact that I'm debating. But yours is wishing and hoping.
I'm not wishing and
No,
hoping.
no,
I just
no,
don't.
no.
I don't know.
No, but if someone tells me, I think Kevin Patul's going to be great.
I never said that.
No, but if someone, I
Right,
didn't
if
say
somebody-
that.
if-
Stop being defensive on this. Stop now, both of you. Stop being defensive because
I
I'm not.
haven't even gotten
no,
a chance to make a damn point yet.
I understand.
You
Well,
guys are
don't
yelling
be-
at each other in
Don't
there.
be defensive on this point. I am telling you, I am just going to argue with you facts. He is a guy who has literally toiled in the shadows and has never been a hot commodity in the NFL, never been somebody that anybody has decided that's a guy we need to poach.
Okay, and
That's
that is your opinion based on what you've seen in his career.
That is that is fact.
No,
not
no,
an
no.
opinion.
I know what. Yes, what you've seen from people not hiring him, all of that is totally true. So I'm going to counter that with the head coach of the Super Bowl champions saying this guy's ready, and having seen him throughout his career. I'm going to counter that with multiple high-caliber NFL athletes saying he's ready for this position.
What do you think about Brian Johnson?
Okay, don't change the argument on
No,
it.
I'm not changing it. I'm asking you the question. You're telling me you trust Nick Sirianni's judgment.
I'm saying that we don't know. And I'm
when
saying
Nick-
that if you want to say facts, I can say
Okay,
that there's plenty of people that tell me he's going to be good.
I'm again telling you, what did Nick Sirianni think of Brian Johnson and his readiness? He thought he was more than ready. You can go and read a million quotes.
Right.
He wasn't, and he was wrong.
Yeah.
So then Howie Roseman had to step in.
So he's not. So Nick Sirianni's opinion is not infallible, and the track record of guys not getting hired does not prove they're not good enough. We
When-
don't know, John. So you want facts on your side, but not on your side. You
I'm
got to
te-
let it go.
No, I don't have to let it go, Connor.
You do,
No, I
buddy.
don't at all.
Nobody has to let go
I
of
don't
anything.
at
Okay,
all.
well, that was
Nobody
unfair.
has-
I
Yes,
don't have
you're
to
right.
let it
Nobody has
all.
to let
And
We
go
don't
of
have to let
anything.
it go.
More importantly, when you've trusted Nick Sirianni to make a call, when he did not hire Shane Steichen. His general manager did. His owner did. Shane Steichen was somebody that Sirianni liked a
Okay.
lot. And then that was when he left, they let Nick Sirianni have a lot of say. And Nick Sirianni made a blunder. And then Howie Roseman stepped in and said, no. We can fix this thing. Let's fix it. I'll hire the guy.
Well, then I'll ask you this: how come he didn't step in on this one?
Because I think he felt they weren't going to get somebody after winning the Super Bowl. The top candidates were gone.
So what, Mr. Possessive Howie Roseman just says, I'm going to sit here and do nothing?
No, I think that the guys that Howie Roseman would have wanted, like the year before, when he could get a Kellen Moore, they were already gone. Because it's the Super Bowl champs.
So then
You
maybe
have to
this
wait.
was the best guy available.
No, it very well may be in their mind the best mind available. But if you're not concerned about that you didn't get to pick from the cream of the crop, you got to pick from what was left over, I'm just saying. And I did not ever time tell you he's going to be terrible. But if anybody is telling me, I think it's going to be great,
Yeah.
you're basing that on nothing. You're basing that on air.
And that's why I'm not saying I think he's going to be great. I'm just not worried about it on April 21st right now.
That's fine. You don't have
That's
to.
why I'm currently in a
asked
state
the-
of zen.
But you asked the question.
I did.
What are people worried about? What are concerned about? That's fine. That is something that someone, I'm telling you right now, should be towards the top of their
All
concerns.
right, well, let's hear from the people at 610-632-0975. Have you reached any sort of state of zen with the Eagles, or are you still looking for things that could potentially concern you going into week one of the NFL season? Do you have the countdown clock in front of you?
Yes, I do. Would
How
you
many
like
days?
to know? Let me
Yes.
look at my countdown clock here. Wait a minute. What's going on that I say? Hey, today, 136 days.
136 days, and then we'll find out.
That's awesome.
About Kevin Patullo in 136 days. Coming up next, we'll reset today's show. We'll check the text line, and also to start the 7 o'clock hour, the Phillies. They won the series, but it's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A bad bullpen weekend. I'm Connor Thomas, and, well, the Phillies did win the series against the Marlins. They took 2 out of 3 over the weekend against the Fish, but the bullpen was rough, including yesterday on Easter Sunday in the series finale. The Phils lost 7-5 in 10 after leading 4-2 in the 8th inning. Jordan Romano was an issue in Game 2 of the series, and the bullpen has become an issue with this team in general. So Rob Thompson was asked about it after yesterday's loss.
Again, it's just part of the season, and I think that'll even itself out over time. But we played so many close games there for a long period of time that, yeah, we did lean on them, but they're a pretty resilient group.
So he believes that the bullpen will figure this out eventually, and it will even itself out. We'll see, though, because hoping and believing, 2 totally different things. The Phillies did still win the series, like we said, and they'll look to use that momentum in a big series with the Mets at Citi Field. Game 1 tonight at 7:10 p.m. Aaron Nola versus Tyler McGill. The NBA and NHL playoffs have gotten underway. Of course, Sixers and Flyers both on the outside looking in, preparing for their offseason. And the NFL Draft comes your way Thursday. We'll keep you updated on everything you need to know with the Eagles in one of the biggest weeks of the offseason. Freddy Coleman of ESPN Radio joins us coming up at 9:10. This update's brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Bill Colarulo.
My biggest frustration was, you go back to last year when Joel Embiid got...
Here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. We will bring up the Phillies to start the 7 o'clock hour. I figured we'd go with
that should be all sunshine and lollipops.
I figured we'd go with the happy Zen in the first start, the first hour, and then we move on to the Phillies in hour number 2. What are the people saying on the text line so far this morning, Connor, when it comes to their overall confidence, their Zen-like state, if they're in it, or if they're still finding things? I'm not saying searching for things, but finding things that is causing some concern for the season, that the Eagles will open up on the Thursday in week 1 of the NFL against an opponent that we don't know just yet, but we will find out within the next, 3 weeks? Shefty told us May 12th, 13th, or 14th, one of those days. We'll find out in a couple of weeks. But what do we got? 610-632-0975.
Peter from Reading says, I'm officially no longer afraid of anyone in the NFL. My team can be and probably will be favored against every NFL team. Come on, John, practice what you preach and enjoy that we're finally the team.
I'm going to tell you right now, that's absolutely, again, if we're going to have that conversation, then we're going to talk in facts. That's not true. It's not true. I'll give you right here. Let's just take that for what it is. Are the Eagles going to be favored at Buffalo next year? I'm going to tell you right now, they will not be. They will not be. They will not be favored at Buffalo. I'm not sure they're going to be favored at Kansas City.
Now, let me ask you real quick.
Okay.
Are we talking opening lines before the season starts?
Opening lines.
Or are we going to talk?
No, like opening lines. That's all we can talk about right now. Is before the season.
Right. But I'm saying,
they would not be favored.
Let's say they're playing each other week 4.
Well, we can't do that because we don't know what happened the first 3 weeks. We got to talk about it now.
Okay.
They will put out the lines for all the games right after the schedule comes out. They'll put it out. The Eagles will not be favored at Buffalo. The Eagles will. I don't think they're going to be favored at Kansas City. I don't think they're going to be favored at Green Bay. I don't know that they're going to be favored at Minnesota.
I imagine they'll be favored at Green Bay.
They better be favored at Green Bay.
Yeah, I imagine.
You think so? They'll be favored at Green Bay?
Yeah, I imagine.
I'm going to tell you right now, I think they will be underdogs in minimum 4 games.
And that's probably a safe place to be, right?
Minimum 4 games.
And it'll be what, 1.5, 2.5?
Yes, I think it'll be within the field goal range.
Right.
But they're going to be underdogs in those games.
I think they'll be slight favorites for the game in Green Bay.
I do not.
What I would say, though, is there's not going to be a game this year. Like where I sit right now, there's not going to be a game this year where I walk in and I say, I expect the Eagles to lose.
The only way that would happen, Connor, would be as if there was something that happened during the season.
Exactly.
Where we go.
Which we'll find out.
Okay,
Yeah.
Saquon's missing these next 2 games or something.
Or Kevin Patullo stinks.
Yeah,
right.
Well, that could very well happen.
That could possibly
everything
happen.
goes out the window. But sitting where we are right now, they're the best team in football.
No questions
I
asked.
think that was more the point, was not necessarily the exact betting odds, but just that Peter from Reading, our texter, is going to feel very confident in the Eagles playing anybody.
But I will say, in today's day and age, he probably meant betting odds.
Okay.
I'm sure that's what he says.
Gambling's all over the place.
That's what he says.
No, I know. I'm just trying to get to
that's the only thing that means.
But
the feeling of the text was to me more.
How about this? Regardless of the line, there's another conversation. Regardless of what the betting line is, I believe the Eagles can beat any team on their schedule. They're not going to go undefeated.
I think they could beat any team on their schedule, and I think they could lose to minimum 4, maybe 5 or 6.
Look, we already said 11 wins would be a great season for them. 12 wins would be
I think 12,
like a spectacular season.
I think 12 would be a great season, not 11. Not a great season.
Okay.
Not great.
A very good season.
Yeah, I mean, you could win the division with 11.
Yeah.
Potentially. Because you don't know what the commodes will be, and you don't know what Dallas is going to be.
We'll find out your W's and L's in a couple of weeks.
No,
I have a guess what Dallas is going to be.
What else we got on the text line?
All right. We also have a check-in here from Ryan in Florida who says, we're still doing the thing where we're worried about the OC, this Sirianni's offense, and it's a proven top offense in the league.
Oh, hold on.
What's he talking about?
Can I finish the text?
Yes, you can.
This is Sirianni's
You have your
offense.
time to react. You run the damn show. All right. Steichen, Kellen Moore, it hasn't mattered yet and it won't matter next year. Too much talent on that side of the ball. They'd have to go out of their way to not be a top 7.
Now, hold
What
on.
the
Again,
hell is he talking
now, again,
about?
I'm in the state of Zen, but I do find it very interesting that he said Steichen and Kellen Moore, but ignored the one that was in between the two of those offensive
And
coordinators.
he says this is Sirianni's offense. No, it was Kellen Moore's offense.
It was Kellen Moore's
It was
offense.
Kellen Moore's offense.
Sirianni may say go for the dagger.
Right, and that's different.
That's his job as the
Kellen
head coach.
Moore called the plays.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore was the one who designed the offense. Kellen Moore was the offensive mastermind of a Super Bowl winning team, not Nick Sirianni.
The offensive linemen were the ones that had to go to the office to say, let's start running the football
When
more.
we needed Nick Sirianni and last year, remember, in a Super Bowl season, when we needed Nick Sirianni to have vision, it required his offensive lineman bullying him into doing something that he should have been able to figure out for himself.
Right.
That's just crazy. People like the blind faith thing. No, you can't have it.
I find that I love Ryan. I've been talking to Ryan for a long, long time. I just love the. They're fine. Look at Steichen and Moore.
No, they were calling the shots.
But look at Brian Johnson. Like it didn't go well that year. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. That's WPEN and WPN HD1.
That's very good.
All right, so we'll continue our Eagles discussion, as you guys can expect, over the course of the show today. But want to open up the Phillies to begin hour 2 of today's show on this Monday, the April 21st.
Good that you're opening it because they can't close.
I am in a state of zen with the Eagles, and maybe part of my zen-like state is because of what's going on everywhere else in Philadelphia, Johnny. The Phillies won their series against the Miami Marlins, taking 2 of 3, but that does not mean the weekend wasn't another one filled with questioning of decisions, not just by the manager, but going back to before the season started with the construction of this bullpen. Jordan Romano
is horrendous.
A crazy outing on Saturday. So let me tell you a story, Johnny. In case the people don't know, the Phillies were up, it was 11-4.
It was 11-4 in the top of the freaking ninth.
So my wife and I and Cooper, we went out for an early dinner that day. Early bird special. You know me. We're old.
You like early dinner,
yeah.
Which is good. That's
and
a great
plus, that's
thing.
when Coop wants to eat. So
by the way, it's part of the reason why you're probably thin.
Maybe. That's nice.
Another reason.
Good to know. So we went out to eat, and the game's on, right? And we're watching the game, and it's 11-4. And the food gets dropped off at the table. TV's to my back. I was hungry. I was a hungry man. That cheesesteak went down quick.
Okay.
So I'm eating, enjoying it. I'm helping Cooper. He's eating his buttered noodles, right?
Okay.
He's coloring. Oh, well, I finished the food. Waitress comes over. Anything else? Like, no, I'm good. I hand her the plate, and as I handed her the plate, I looked up. 11-10.
You saw 11-10? You missed the whole thing?
I missed the whole thing.
Well, you know what's funny?
I was so hungry, man.
What's great is that you missed the whole thing, and so did the frickin' manager. Because he missed the whole thing, too. Because you see what happened is you get a reliever must stay in. Connor, can you verify as the host of the Locked On Phillies podcast? A reliever must stay in for 3 batters, correct?
Unless an inning is completed, yes.
That is correct. So he feels so good about Jordan Romano. He tells everybody in the bullpen, yeah, everybody just sit, feet up. We got a 7-run lead in the 9th inning. Guys, feet up. So you get a base runner. You get another base runner. Then you get a run knocked in. Then you get another base runner. Then you get 2 runs knocked in. And Rob Thompson is still sitting on his backside, not getting anybody up in the bullpen, so somebody can get Jordan Romano out of the game. Then they're rushing to get your closer up.
Yes.
In Jose Alvarado. He's got to get up. He isn't able to come into the game because he's not ready, and you end up giving up a home run that makes it 11-10.
And in case people at home don't realize it, these professional athletes, it's not just, hey, you ready to go into the game? It's not your Sunday league. It's
correct.
Stretching. It's the bands.
But
it's that weighted ball.
Romano, who has been unfreaking reliable.
Yeah, he's been bad.
His manager with a 7-run lead figures, and I understand why he would figure it in the beginning.
Oh, my God, yeah.
But then, base runner, run knocked in. You go, okay, I got to get somebody up. No. Sleepy Rob is just watching the game. And he's making the same stupid face. Yeah. He is. He's making that dumb face.
Okay, well, he can't change his face.
He's making the same face of disinterest.
Like about your face.
I don't know why anybody be worried about this. We've got this. And then it's another. And then you're scrambling to get somebody up. And because they didn't have anybody up, after the first 3 guys go on there and cause the problems, then you don't have your closer ready before the game gets to 11-10.
Now, fortunately, the Phillies win that baseball game. And then yesterday, they look to complete the sweep of the Marlins, and they do not because, once again, and I can't totally blame Rob Thompson for the bullpen being a disaster.
No, it's not his fault.
That's when I turned to Dave Dombrowski. But the sad thing is, yesterday when the Phillies have the lead, it's Orion Kerkering who's been shaky to start the season.
Shaky is a kind word.
He's had outings where he may not have allowed a run, but the innings itself are a little dangerous, gets out of jams, right?
Sure.
And you give him credit, right? Getting out of jams is an important part of being a reliever. But yesterday was his by far worst outing. 3 earned runs on the home run, and the Phillies end up losing the baseball game to the Marlins in extra innings. And this goes back to Dave Dombrowski before the season started. We're questioning his decisions with the bullpen.
Why? I ask the question that's before that one. Is why did you have to get Luzardo out of the game? Why did he have to leave? He's fully stretched out. He's completely comfortable. And as they pointed to him when he went in, he didn't want out of the game. He was told, you're out of the game. You're only going 7. 88 pitches. What are we doing?
We're being smart.
When we have an unreliable bullpen. And Luzardo was never in looking struggling yesterday.
So I will say this. There are some relievers that like to start the innings, right? And you may have a plan going into a game.
Okay.
If Luzardo goes out for another inning, let's say he throws 12 pitches, he's now at 100.
12 pitches for Luzardo yesterday? I was waiting for that. 12 pitches for Luzardo yesterday would have most likely been 2 outs. And then you're asking an overtaxed bullpen to get you 4 outs. You give the ninth inning to Alvarado if you have to. And then you just get somebody to get in there and get 1 out for you with a lead.
But you can't extend starters in April because your bullpen's not good, especially a starter that the reason you were able to acquire
but now
was because injuries have been an issue.
Here's the scary thing. Your bullpen that's being overworked. Your key guys, because your other guys are so bad.
I'd rather overwork the bullpen than lose Jesus Luzardo. And injuries have been an issue with him. I don't mind them being cautious with him.
All right, and that's fair. I'm fine with the decision they made to take out Luzardo yesterday. The scary thing, though, is you're going to a bullpen, to your point, John, that's been unreliable, or Kerkering, Alvarado, Strom, the 3 guys that went for you yesterday, have already pitched, almost double-digit games probably already?
Yeah, you know what you did with Luzardo in his first outing? 95 pitches. Second outing, 95 pitches. Third outing, 98 pitches. Fourth outing, 90 pitches.
Yeah, but he's already at 88.
You were not overextending him to get a couple more outs, and he was cruising most of the day yesterday.
All right, well, look, we'll talk more about the Phillies because coming up next, before we get to the Rob Thompson discussion, it is okay to ignore upside, Johnny, and just to play the better player. We talk about center field next here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli, Bill Colarulo, and Ray Dunn. They have a lot to say about Philadelphia sports. The big...
7:12 here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We'll get back to our text messages here momentarily. But as we open up the 7 o'clock hour talking about the Phillies, we're going to get into a discussion about Rob Thompson in the next segment. But first, I want to talk about something that might not necessarily be his decision, and that's who plays center field, right? Just because he hands in the lineup card, we don't necessarily know if he's writing out the lineup. There is a lot of involvement upstairs with guys like Dave Dombrowski, and as we have talked about numerous times on this show, there could be maybe a mindset of, hey, we got to show the people why we traded for a certain center fielder. We've seen it in football. Oh, we're paying this guy more money. We got to have this guy play. The Eagles did it at a time where it was really bad, right? They played Alshon Jeffrey over Travis Fulgham. There was no need to play Alshon Jeffrey the rest of that season, forcing Jason Peters on the field instead of giving young guys opportunities to play.
Bad optics.
Yeah, we've seen that before, and a lot of it was because of the dollar sign next to that player's name.
And we understand it. Like, we understand the motivation behind it. We don't agree with the strategy.
Exactly.
But we understand that, by the way, this happens in, like, a lot of organizations.
Yeah, and that's why I love Vic Fangio, who goes, yeah, I don't care that you paid Bryce Huff all that money. I'm going to play the best players on my defense. You may have signed the players. You may have traded for the players. You may have drafted the players. I'm the guy that is going to put the best 11 players on the field when I believe it's time to play the best 11 players. For the Phillies' sake, I think it's time to officially say, enough with upside. I have been saying this, so it's not like it's anything new for me. Enough with upside. The Brandon Marsh upside talk compared to the Johan Rojas upside. It just doesn't matter when you should just play the better player. Does that mean that they are the answer moving forward at center field? No, I believe it's Justin Crawford or it's somebody on the outside that you might need to acquire before the trade deadline.
So all of us, before this conversation begins, we're all on the same page.
Yes.
We do not think the center fielder of the future is on the roster right now.
Correct.
Not until they called up Cal Stevenson.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we're all on the same page.
So Cal Stevenson gets called up because Brandon Marsh officially goes on the injured list with the hammy injury.
Really?
Yes, allegedly.
Interesting.
We'll see.
That was interesting.
Who knows? When it was the knee that seemed to get tweaked on the
it was a
on the
little
other
weird.
leg.
Yeah, exactly.
Johan Rojas plays again yesterday and goes 1 for 3. In game 2 of the series, he went 3 for 5 with 3 runs scored. And in the first game of the series, he goes 2 for 4, the run scored and an RBI. And I think it was game 1. I don't know if you guys remember, or it may have been the Giants game. I forget if it was Giants or Marlins. The series sometimes blend together. He made a play that the ball may have been 6 feet to the right of Nick Castellanos. And Johan Rojas comes in like a missile and makes the catch. Unlike the last time with the Edmundo Sosa,
right?
and
he was. I'm coming in and I'm getting this.
Yeah, and you know what? Good.
Yes.
He learned from his previous mistake of not taking charge in center field. He made a play that elite speed and elite center fielders make. Brandon Marsh is not that guy, has never been that guy. I've never believed him to be that guy despite his Gold Glove finalist nonsense, right?
Sure, absolutely.
There's no errors in baseball anymore anyway, so everybody could be a Gold Glove candidate in my opinion. It's now gotten to the point where you just have to say, damn the upside. If this guy's better, and if this guy is horrible, which Brandon Marsh has been this year, you got to give Rojas the opportunity.
Oh, I appreciate, though, and for those, and I appreciate that, too, for those just coming to the table with this line of thinking.
On this table.
You've been with me on this one. But this one is, the upside is where we've debated. There's no, the player, let's see what the upside is. The more skilled defender, the more skilled base runner. There's other things of upside. I don't agree that there's more upside with Brandon Marsh.
No, I will
the
say
only
this.
thing is power. The only thing is power.
You bring up the base running. Speed-wise, yes. He literally did get sent down last season because he was an idiot on the base pass, Johan Rojas. But that doesn't mean he hasn't gotten better.
But you talk about upside on that. He's got much more upside than Brandon.
No, hang on. Brandon Marsh can't get thrown out on the bases if he never makes it on.
That's the truth, too.
Next level thinking.
How about this? Someone do a wellness check on our own Kevin Cooney from Weekends here on The Fanatic. In 2 games this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, he matched Brandon Marsh's season hit total.
Yes.
I mean, the vitriol against Johan Rojas when he wasn't even being given a chance is so annoying to me. He wasn't even getting an opportunity to play because you were, and I do believe it was front office and I believe it was Rob. that both of them were in lockstep going, yeah, I think I know what Rojas is. Let's give Marsh another shot to get it right. Marsh is killing his teammates, killing their chances to win, and you put this Rojas in, and look, he's not the answer.
No.
He's not a long-term solution there, but he's a hell of a lot better than Brandon Marsh and is get on base 4 out of 10 times. Yeah, we like that. 4 out of 10 plate appearances.
Now, do I expect that to continue? No.
No, but he hasn't even gotten to the number. He hasn't even gotten to the number of plate appearances that Brandon Marsh has been given.
Yeah.
What the hell's he doing? He's almost. I mean, you're talking about a guy who can't even hit 100, and you got a guy here who right now can hit 344, can steal bases for you, can go on out there and do things that are. He is a better defender.
Yeah.
He's better there. This was shocking to me. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Then all of a sudden, I think the Phillies got to look and go, yeah, we're good letting Rojas have a little time.
Now, look.
Now, wait a minute. Could he come down to...
Yeah, he will.
Could he come... Yes. No. But when he comes back to reality, is it going to be 240? That's a hell of a lot better than Brandon Marsh.
Yes.
Well, it's better than Marsh right now, but you can't go away from Marsh because there's no outfield help coming until later. Like, clearly they're not calling Crawford up anytime soon.
Yeah, but you know what? Marsh can now be considered on the depth chart as the fourth outfield.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Totally fine, but you can't just, bury him.
No,
once he's there.
no. And I don't want to do that either.
Some people do, and that's short-sighted. You need to have Rojas
but you know
now.
what? This then goes to the conversation of when Brandon Marsh is healthy again. Has Rojas done enough to not be given the opportunity to start against right-handed pitching?
No, Rojas should start every time.
The
There
platoon.
should be a platoon.
No, I feel like the platoon shouldn't even be part of the conversation anymore.
What I'm going to say is they both got to get a chance. I don't want to see Marsh buried, but I want to see every opportunity given to Rojas that is given to Marsh going forward because they blew it early in the season.
I don't need the everybody needs a chance when Brandon Marsh is batting 95.095. What chance? He's had his chance. For 3 years, he's had his chance.
He has.
All right, coming up next.
Awful.
John Kincade, I believe, is lost, or is at least losing his patience on Topper. Buckle up. Rob Thompson segment coming up next. Also, your text messages as we do not run away from our Eagles discussion. Thank God for the Eagles. That's my state of zen. Or maybe it's forced because I need it, Johnny. Because the Phillies aren't providing it for me. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A shaky series win. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies won their series with the Marlins over the weekend, but it was not without its shaky moments. They gave away a win yesterday on Easter Sunday in the series finale. They lost 7-5 and 10 after leading 4-2 in the 8th inning. The bullpen was a major issue throughout the series, and Rob Thompson discussed the issues after the game yesterday.
Again, it's just part of the season, and I think that'll even itself out over time. But we played so many close games there for a long period of time that, yeah, we did lean on them, but they're a pretty resilient group.
Might be about time for an off day, but the Phillies will not get one until after these 3 games with the New York Mets. A big series starting up at Citi Field tonight, 7:10 p.m. first pitch for Game 1 with Aaron Nola on the mound against Tyler McGill. The NBA and NHL playoffs have gotten underway. Both the Sixers and Flyers off seasons have begun. The NFL draft comes your way Thursday, and we'll keep you updated, of course, on everything you need to know with the Eagles in one of the biggest weeks of their offseason. Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio joins us coming up at 9:10. This update is brought to you by Rapid Radios, their instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage for a limited time. Go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on this championship Monday morning. Don't forget your next chance to win $1,000 comes your way at 8 o'clock.
What do I need to text? 45911?
Yep, or you can enter on the Fanatic mobile app or 975thefanatic.com.
Oh, okay, good.
But I won't give you the keyword till 8 o'clock. All right, so Eagles obviously on the table. We will give you that topic again here momentarily. But first, I want to allow John Kincade to voice his frustration a little bit more with the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. It was a rough weekend, and it's been an odd season so far with the Phillies, to say the least. They are winning, and it's amazing. We had Tim Kirkchin on last week, who still thinks very, very highly of the Philadelphia Phillies. I know Buster Olney was on with the Mike Missanelli show this past Friday, thinking very, very highly of the Philadelphia Phillies, as they still should, because talent-wise it's there. But they may not know the weeds that were inside, right?
Well, they don't have to do this show every day.
Right.
But those two guys, it should comfort everybody.
It should. Yeah.
I mean, when you hear Stark and Olney and Kirkchin talk about the Phillies,
right,
it should give you at least pause to say, yeah, things aren't where we want them, but they're a hell of a lot better than they are in a lot of other in Major League Baseball cities.
Right, and you look at the rotation. Like, if you look at the standings, the Phils are 2 games back of the Mets right now. The Phillies' starting rotation is still so much better than what the New York Mets have to offer. So that's why I can't totally start being freaked out about a team 22 games into the season. But there are things.
You can't be freaked out. You just can't.
I can be freaked out about the bullpen. Like,
no,
and I legitimately am, because this bullpen, I was nervous about going into this season, and it's been disastrous. And now, as you start to look around, you're already starting to see the innings and outings pile up for guys like Jose Alvarado, Matt Strom, and Ryan Kerkering, because you've had to. And that's bad. Like, it's bad when you have, Romano and Ross and Banks have almost become, I'm only pitching them if we're desperate. And that's bad. That's 3 guys in your pen that are desperate times.
Thing is, you can't do that, right? You can't. Right now, you can't approach this as, I'm only throwing those guys because they don't have enough arms.
No, they don't. That's why
they're going to burn their arms.
And that's why you saw Ross in a high leverage situation a couple games ago.
Yeah, he's not an answer. He could be a back end of the bullpen guy that mops up sometimes. I think with a 7-run lead, I'd feel comfortable.
But the problem is, a lot of their guys right now are mop up.
Yeah, they are.
At least the way they're pitching now. But I don't see how Romano all of a sudden, he might legitimately be cooked. He had a big injury last year, and he might legitimately be cooked.
And if his body language and facial expressions, he looks cooked. He looks scared.
Yeah.
He looks bewildered. And to me, I hate bewildered on a Major League Baseball.
I thought he had a very human-like answer.
No question.
After the horrible outing on Saturday, he's like, look, I felt fine. It's just they were hitting me.
I respected the hell out of him, because I have seen Major League Baseball players and I've seen other athletes hide out after a disastrous performance like that.
Right.
So Jordan Romano, that is a thank you for your professionalism, because that's great.
Yeah, it was a great answer. What do you have to say about Rob Thompson there, John?
I need my manager to be anticipatory. And again, I'll say it again. I'll bang the drum again. It just hasn't. He's not anticipatory. Every single Phillies fan watching that game had enough of Jordan Romano 3 batters into his appearance on Saturday, and he was asleep at the wheel. He just thought 7 runs were safe. 7 runs, that can't happen. We're not giving up this lead. Yeah, I'm not listening. People were literally, the booing in the stadium was loud.
Yeah.
And he wasn't listening, and he was and they were showing him, just staring. He didn't talk to his bench coach. He didn't talk to his pitching coach.
Now, let me ask you guys.
He didn't say, get somebody up.
I was going to ask you, when did somebody get up?
5th batter.
Okay.
5 batters.
Yeah.
And then because of that, he wasn't ready, and the game became 11-10. If he had done it after the third, you only have to have him in for 3 batters.
Yes.
If he had somebody up, even after the second guy, third guy, he would have had somebody up and ready to go when the game was 11-8. Runner on base, 1 man on base, 2 outs, 11-8. He could have had somebody ready to go, and Alvarado could have closed it out then. It's just he stared into space. And this is the third time this year we're talking about a game where JT's at bat, where he's getting into it with the umpire. And Rob Thompson just staring through not doing anything. I need my manager to be anticipatory, to understand that, yes, the building is on fire, Rob. Grab a freaking extinguisher.
Now, I wonder.
He's not there.
And again, this is tinfoil cap sometimes, right? Because there is a sense of urgency going into this season, right? We felt it. We've talked about how this seems like it could be the last hurrah with this core. Like, if it falls short of, let's say NLCS.
No, let's say they lose like they did last year. Like NLDS.
Yeah. All right, so
same thing happens again.
Yep. Harper and Turner, or Harper's back, you know that for a fact. I don't know who's going to take Turner's contract, but you're going to start thinking about, all right,
Turner's back.
Turner, Schwarber,
yeah, nobody's taking his contract.
I get it. You're going to start looking at the key guys, and you're wondering who's back, who are you going to try to replace, who are you going to try to move on from? Maybe does Rob Thompson go with all that sense of urgency, with all this pressure on this team? I'm going to try to take a much more relaxed approach to like the first month of the season.
A relaxed approach as far as I don't want the Phillies at 13-9. I don't want to say everything's great, but I certainly don't want to say there's any reason that anybody should be up in arms worrying about can they compete long term. I'm not in the least bit concerned that they're going to.
Maybe that's why he's doing this.
But during a game, you have to manage.
Well, the thing is, he said after the game he didn't want to use Alvarado. Right?
I understand.
So by the fifth batter, getting a guy up, like, that's not too late to me. We had a text, because I was on Saturday as that game came to an end, and we had a texter who said, if this isn't the time when Rob Thompson is fired, I don't know when it will be. Like, it's
early.
Too strong of a reaction.
I think that's too strong a reaction. But my manager not anticipating and understanding what was going on in that game, he was oblivious. Absolutely oblivious. Staring into space as it all happened, and they showed him, they're doing the broadcast. Mm-hmm. They're showing you the picture, showing you the picture, showing you the picture. He's just staring off into space going, well, nothing to see here. The building's on fire behind him, and he's standing there going.
That's not what he's doing. He's saying, like, this guy's got to get outs. Like, he's Jordan Romano's going to have to wear this one right now. And when it comes to dire straits, we will go to Alvarado. But I've got to do everything I can to get out of this game without using him. Remember, you pulled the starter in the fourth inning there, because they said Taijuan Walker was feeling a little tight with the up and down. You had to go to the bullpen early. You're in the middle of a stretch of 16 games in 16 days where your later inning guys have been taxed. We were just talking about that. He was doing every last thing he could to make sure Jose Alvarado didn't have to come in that game.
But as Cole Hamels pointed out in the broadcast yesterday, there was absolutely no reason that he didn't have a guy stretched out and ready to go. You don't have to have, he doesn't have to come into the game. Just have him, okay, 3 guys now. We've seen 3 guys get to base. Let's have somebody warm up. 4 guys.
Just start stretching.
4 guys have gotten on before Rob says, hey, come on now.
By the way, that inning, here's how the inning went.
By the way, Cole Hamels did a hell of a lot better yesterday. It was a really good job.
Romano comes in, double, single, home run. Maybe at that point you start going.
And no, he didn't move. He did not.
Just stretch.
He didn't move.
Not grab a baseball.
Well, at that point, it's 11-7. It's not even a save situation.
Right, that's why I'm saying
but he didn't
just stretch.
Move.
Then ground out.
Right.
Okay, so he's probably going, all right.
See? All right.
We got one. Right. Then it's single.
And then somebody comes up.
But then he gets the next out. So now it's 2 outs. And now you're going.
2 outs.
All right.
2 outs, 2 on.
All right, we're good. We're good,
outs,
right?
2 on.
Then it's a double. Then it's a home run, and that's when the pitching change finally happens. Look, I get it. The whole Sleepy Rob thing. Like, I get it.
No, he's Sleepy Rob.
And maybe in June, July, August, it's different. I don't know. Again, that's just tinfoil cap theory, right? Or as Connor's point, wanted to do whatever he can to not have Alvarado, because if you look now, Alvarado already at 11 outings. Strom already at 11 outings. Orion Kerkering already at 9 outings. Jose Ruiz already at 9 outings, right? Like, your guys that you're going to depend on a lot this season, you've already depended on a lot this season.
That's why you haven't heard me say one thing about yesterday about Orion Kerkering, even though that was a bad outing.
It was a bad outing. It wasn't Rob Thompson's fault.
No, but also you haven't heard me say, that Orion Kerkering, what a bum. part of that to me is that.
And
Here's
Not
the
being-
comparison.
And that
Not
goes
being
to
fresh.
that goes to Dombrowski.
Yeah, Ryan Kerkering is where Alec Boehm was. And, hey, the offense, nice series. Let's not go without saying
They did
that.
have a nice series.
They woke
Good
up.
point.
And
As the right center fielders play.
Okay, fine. The offense looked really good, and outside of the center field position as well. But Ryan Kerkering is what Alec Boehm was, where it's like, this guy's going to come out of it. He's just a little shaky right now. Romano is where Brandon Marsh was, where it's like, this guy might just not be usable. So Kerkering is fine. Bad outing.
I'm telling you right now, they're not going to. Would you be totally upset if they DFA'd Romano?
Yeah.
You'd be totally upset?
Why would you be upset?
They don't have the arms. They don't have minor league guys they can bring up. You got to get something out of somebody.
There's somebody in Major League Baseball. There is some pitcher in Major League Baseball, or somebody you could absolutely acquire for a bag of balls from a Major League organization that could give you what Romano has given the Phillies.
Yeah, he's giving
not
them
a question.
nothing.
But now again, you're not going to want to do that if you want everybody to go, we weren't wrong. We weren't wrong.
Right.
We
And
let three guys.
It would seem like a panic move.
We let
It
three
would be.
guys go. We let three guys go who have an ERA under one under 1.3 and two under 1. We let them go.
Sir Anthony's still at 0, by the way.
Still at 0 for 11 appearances or 12. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And you called that, and I raised my hand. I looked at you that day and said, I agree with you, but I didn't agree with you. Like, this is going to be something that's going to come back and haunt me.
9 outings this year.
Unbelievable.
His whip is .96. Yeah. Gave up on him too early for Austin Hayes. It's a Championship Monday on The Fanatic, presented to you by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com. We'll check our text line coming up next. Also, as we get back to the Eagles, another reason why I feel so confident in them, Johnny, they're becoming the trendsetters in the NFL.
Interesting.
Find out what the league may try to do to be more like the Eagles next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Vitalico, and Sylvanic.
It's how restaurants...
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. I am in a state of zen with the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't believe that they will do anything that will bother me during the NFL draft or during the post-draft process. I feel very good about this Eagles team. Come the start of the season, obviously, my tone will be different. I will watch everything under a microscope, right? I was not preaching patience with the Eagles team last year, and in the year where they end up winning the Super Bowl. Not something that I did. Now then again, maybe somebody listened and said we should run the ball more, and they changed the offense during the bye week. So I'm just saying
maybe somebody should have listened and had more patience.
No, because if it wasn't for the offensive linemen, let's not forget that. Let's not rewrite history. If it wasn't for the offensive linemen going to the offices and saying, hey, why aren't we running the ball more? Just like some radio people were saying, and Eagles fans all across the Delaware Valley were saying, maybe it never changed, but it did. And great. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. Good for Nick Sirianni for listening, because a lot of coaches would not do that. So, ultimately, right now, on April 21st, the week of the NFL draft, kind of the point of bringing up this conversation to start, I'm in a state of zen where I don't believe they will do anything egregious. Like, I don't think that mock draft that had them drafting a wide receiver at pick 32, I don't believe that's going to happen. I don't believe the Eagles would do something that dumb. I think it would be a dumb move.
I don't believe they will.
I don't think they'll do something that dumb.
I think there's zero shot they will.
So, what do we have on the text line when it comes to that conversation? And again, one of the other reasons why I feel so good about the Eagles is that they may be the new trendsetters in the NFL. And there's an article to back that up. Go ahead. What do we got on the text line?
This texter says, I'm more expecting the Eagles to trade 2026 draft picks in this draft, knowing that they have so many extras next year, not moving picks that they have right now.
And that's a possibility. That legitimately could be a shot. But if you're moving picks for next year, maybe it might be to jump up even more. I don't know what the beautiful
charts will tell you.
Charts will tell you, because you're Mr. Chart.
No, I mean, I love the chart. I'll tell you as far
How
as
much is next year's draft picks worth compared to this year's draft? I imagine this year's more expensive.
This year's more expensive.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what people are going to do next year.
Correct.
Where those positions will be. So you have to, unless you know there's a really bad team out there. That's why those Saints.
Yeah.
Saints are a team I'd be watching.
Yeah.
And I hope Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni are still close. Hope they still text.
Might help you out.
Because I think the Saints are going to suck next year.
Yeah.
So
if you get one of their 2026 picks,
you're feeling that that's a better value. You can't do it. But the bottom line is that the Eagles can move anywhere they want. And the likelihood that they can move up in any round, moving up in the second round or third round, is even far more likely.
Right.
How about moving up in the second round is more like 2.5 times more likely with their draft capital to be able to move up in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of good stuff there. There's a lot of good stuff that's available for that. You just don't know where teams are going to end up next year, so that makes trading next year's picks a little more dicey.
Absolutely. All right, so trendsetters, Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about this a lot last year over the course of the season, not just because he was having a historic season.
Sure.
But Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, some of the big running backs that were on the move.
The top four free agent running backs were, for the majority of the season, the top 4 running backs in the NFL.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, not that Saquon Barkley is like some beefy back that you just think about getting those tough yards, but not just a little quick, flashy running back.
Sure.
Right? Derrick Henry's a beast. Saquon's a beast. Josh Jacobs. All those guys are also physical runners. Yeah, Saquon Barkley can reverse hurdle over somebody because he's a freak of nature, but he's also a physical specimen. So I read an article on Fox this morning. The title...
Not Fox News, Fox Sports.
No, Fox Sports.
Okay.
Running backs could get a boost in this year's draft thanks to Saquon Barkley's success. Now, obviously, there are a couple of backs that are entering the draft that could go in the first round, a couple in the first round, and there could be some in the second and third rounds as well. Third, you're kind of used to seeing that, but there's some guys that could go earlier, like Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton, 2 guys that are going to go probably in the first round this upcoming NFL draft.
Genty is, absolutely.
So there was the Raiders general manager, who, by the way, works alongside Tom Brady.
And Pete Carroll.
That's
so
true,
think
too.
of the mentality.
Yep, Pete Carroll, Marshawn Lynch, as long as he had him in Seattle. Here he is. Here's the GM of the Raiders, John Spytek. It's a great last name.
Well, especially working for Tom Brady. A guy named Spytek.
Pretty fitting.
Good line there.
It really is.
Quote, we just saw Saquon Barkley just change the Eagles in 1 year. Now, they had a great team around him, and it was adding an elite player. But I think when you sit where we sit, the idea is to add elite players at any position. I don't try to devalue any certain position. There are certain ways to build a team, and I don't know where we got to a place where we don't feel like running backs are valued. I come from the University of Michigan to my core, and those guys were certainly really valued there. So it's hard for me to get away from that. Now, look, I think drafting a running back with like a top 10 pick is still not the greatest idea. There's a reason why you're drafting in the top 10. It's probably because your team was not good, and there's a lot of areas that you need to fix. Like I thought, as much as I love Saquon Barkley, it's a mistake to draft him in the top 5. It's a mistake to draft Ezekiel Elliott, what, 3rd overall to the Cowboys? Or no.
4th, maybe?
4th, yeah. It's a mistake to draft. I still think Bijan Robinson, as talented as he is, you're drafting him in the top 10. You're ignoring so many other issues if you're the Atlanta Falcons. And by the time you're going to build the rest of the team, he's already going to have a lot of the tread on the tire in his NFL career.
I think the Falcons looked at the NFC South and said, and variably so, they finished a game out in the South, I believe, every year.
Right.
For 4 years. So they said...
They thought they were closer than what they probably really were.
Yeah, win the division, then anything can happen.
But it's amazing that Saquon Barkley and his success may change the way teams value the running back, because even though Spytek said, I can't believe we devalue any certain position, the league did devalue the running back.
I devalued the running back.
Yeah.
So I got to sit here and I got to eat it.
I love that the Eagles were finding 1 year left on, like, DeAndre Swift, 1 year left on his deal.
I love
Jordan
those
Howard,
moves.
1 year left on his deal.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. I now also love that signing Saquon Barkley to a 3-year contract's pretty good, too.
I don't love the extension they signed Saquon to. And I said that. I don't love the amount of money that they allotted to that. I don't think it was necessary to go that high or to extend that much. I think a thank you would have been great, add an extra year, whatever it was. But I get it. The trendsetter thing, though, you're absolutely right. For the rest of the league to look at it now and go, yeah, maybe we want to be more like the Eagles.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
Brandon Beane, the GM of the Softy Bills, at least the head coach. For a while, the market maybe was suppressed. People were not looking at them as weapons. I kind of look at them as anyone you add to your offense. What do they bring? What is their skill set? Is it a mismatched player? So I just love it how they are admitting. Teams are starting to admit, yeah, we devalued running backs. And they saw what happened with the Super Bowl champion Eagles. And oh, by the way, other playoff teams. Ravens with Derrick Henry. Packers with Josh Jacobs. These teams made it to the playoffs and were successful. All right, coming up next, we'll reset today's topics. Also, I just need to vent for a few minutes. If you'd like to join me, Johnny.
It depends.
The NBA playoffs started this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, we have no horse in the race. It is Kincade and Salciunas.
But we had that gold medal. I watched the gold medal game again.
We'll be back here on The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Bullpen issues for the Phils. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies gave away a win on Easter Sunday in their series finale with the Marlins. Now, the Phils did end up winning 2 games out of 3 in the series, but they lost 7-5 in 10 innings yesterday after leading 4-2 in the 8th inning. That on top of Jordan Romano's performance on Saturday, where he had a very rough outing. And the bullpen, well, it was an issue in this series. So Rob Thompson talked about it after the game.
Again, it's just part of the season, and I think that'll even itself out over time. But we played so many close games there for a long period of time that, yeah, we did lean on them. But they're a pretty resilient group.
Feels like the bullpen is spread pretty thin right now for the Fightins, and they got a big series where they got to figure some stuff out. They're going to look to use the series win against the Marlins as momentum against the Mets at Citi Field tonight. Game 1 is at 7:10. Aaron Nola faces Tyler McGill. The NBA and NHL playoffs have gotten underway. Both the Sixers and Flyers off seasons have begun since they are not in that postseason. The NFL draft comes your way Thursday. We'll keep you updated on everything you need to know with the Eagles in one of the biggest weeks of the offseason. And Freddy Coleman of ESPN Radio will join us coming up at 9:10. This update is brought to you by Corona. Catch Andrew Salciunas for the baseball action this Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Boathouse in Country for $5 Coronas, prizes, and Philly baseball fun. Thanks to Corona. Please enjoy responsibly. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft, 97.5 The Fanatic.
o'clock, your next chance to win $1,000. Or if you're Haley Taylor Simon, just lose your teeth as a kid. You get like $100 a tooth.
$20 a tooth she got.
That was insane.
From Grammy. And then she got $5 a tooth from her parents.
I would have started pulling those suckers out left and right.
Are you kidding me? I would have been over
$20, my God.
I would have been over the local graveyard.
It started.
Absolutely.
I'd have dentures so fast.
You can start a damn company.
That's what
the loans you're getting.
Brendan Gunn started wiggling one of his teeth, seeing if there's any payouts available.
And then I blew your minds. I still have a baby tooth.
I had a baby tooth till probably 17, 18.
Yeah, this thing's not coming out. There's no adult tooth growing behind it.
Wow.
And it's one of my molars.
So that means that you did not evolve.
Yes, I am still a child.
You did not
you know
evolve.
What? Makes sense.
The Salciunases did not evolve.
No, we did not.
Nobody's shocked.
All right, let's get a couple of text messages, Phillies or Eagles related, and then after we do our cash contest at 8 o'clock, I will just have to just to vent a little bit. You know, every once in a while, it may be the same old, but every once in a while it
feels good.
It's just you sit down with the missus and then you just vent, or you're sitting down with your boys and you just vent, even though it might be same old. I have to do that about the Sixers, even though it's not same old, them missing the playoffs. What do we got?
All right, so we have a check-in on that conversation that we were having with the running backs. And this texter says defenses are now built to stop the pass after years of the quarterback being the focus. Of course, a beast running back like Saquon is now a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, let's not act like duh. Like if that's the case, then every team in the world would have done that. Like, yeah, to his point, the texter's point, or her point, to the texter's point, defenses have gotten smaller because they need to do the sideline to sideline. They need to be prepared to defend the pass as much as they do. Cornerbacks have gotten smaller, right? Everybody's gotten smaller and faster. And so when you get a freak like Saquon Barkley, and it's not like there's Saquon Barkleys growing on trees, but once you get that physical back, it's hard to stop them. That's why you see still some teams implementing the Jordan Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs and Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jordan Montgomery,
baseball.
Yeah. David Montgomery. You know, you have the one physical back and then the quick specimen that Jahmyr Gibbs is, but they at least split it almost equally, right? So there are still smart teams that utilize the run the right way, but there are a lot of teams, and we can't ignore this, that ignored the back, that just said, we don't care anymore.
Yeah,
it's a pass-happy league.
And
something works. Patrick Mahomes,
I was an advocate for it, so I've seen the light that a special back can give you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can they provide?
All right, what else we got?
All right, we also have people checking in on our Phillies conversation. Tasty Cake Dom checks in.
What's up, Dom?
And says, Connor, I'm not the biggest topper guy, but I don't know what the heck you do when half of your bullpen is currently throwing underhand.
Look, and that's why yesterday we're not ripping Rob Thompson for Orion Kerkering.
No, I'm not ripping Orion Kerkering either.
No,
it wasn't a great outing, but I've seen enough out of Orion Kerkering to go, I think it's all going to come together. I think it'll round about. Yeah. It'll round in. I'm not looking at him like I'm looking at Jordan Romano.
Right. The bullpen is such an interesting conversation because you can put some blame on Rob Thompson, like the usage of it on Saturday. The overall talent in the bullpen, that goes to Dave Dombrowski. And then the players themselves, you can obviously blame themselves for having bad outings. But it's such a crazy conversation that there's so many people to point fingers to.
Scotty must listen to post-show headlines.
What's up, Scotty?
Scotty was listening to post-show headlines, and he goes, John, this reminds me of a post-show headline story with Rob Thompson and Jordan Romano on Saturday. Rob Thompson is your neighbor who lets their dog on a leash be totally at the end of its lead. So it's walking pretty much up near your front door, and they're standing in the sidewalk. That's the worst kind of neighbor. You have to have awareness of your dog and make sure that they're a little closer to you.
Yes.
I said, that's a good one. He listened to post-show headlines. We talked about that.
Appreciate it. You can go on YouTube, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We do post-show headlines every day after the show.
Let your dog, if it's on a leash and you're taking it for a walk, let it pee or whatever on the piece of grass that borders the street, not the one that borders your sidewalk, because that's your lawn.
Yeah.
Do that to
even
people.
though people have the signs out on the other
People
side.
don't
of it
want
too.
yellow in there. They're in error on that.
Absolutely. All right, you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. All right, unless you're Haley losing teeth and getting $20, let's try to give people a chance to win $1,000 right now.
The Fanatic signing bonus.
All right, your chance to win $1,000. The keyword today is top. T-O-P,
Oh,
not
no.
topper.
Thank you.
But top. T-O-P, like the Eagles were on top of the football world this past season, winning the Super Bowl. You have 25 minutes till after the hour to enter the keyword to the Fanatic mobile app, 975thefanatic.com, or you can text it to the special contest short code 45911.
That's what I'm going to use.
One random entry wins $1,000 in this company-wide contest. Each winner will get a call from Beasley, so be sure to answer your phone. Contest rules at 975thefanatic.com. All presented to us by our friends at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia, voted best casino in PA by Casino Player Magazine. Your next chance will be at 10 o'clock with the Mike Missanelli Show. Again, today's keyword, top. T-O-P. All right, the NBA playoffs tipped off this past weekend.
Yeah, they did. You would have talked about them yesterday on the national show.
Yeah, and you know what? It was nice to talk about good basketball.
You
for
and
a
John
change.
Michaels had a good time with it.
It was. It's been a long time since I was able to talk about good basketball, like teams that are good and teams that are built in ways where they will be able to contend for years to come.
You'll have a chance in the headlines
Oh, good.
Oh, that's good.
for that and hockey.
That comes your way around 8:13ish,
Wow.
to be specific.
Exactly.
This past weekend, just even though I loved watching NBA playoff basketball, you know how much I love the NBA, that I can sit down and watch Knicks Pistons and
Sure.
not think about the Sixers.
You like it.
But at the same time, when I'm watching the Celtics game yesterday, or when I'm watching the Thunder, two teams that you can do a lot of comparing with the Sixers, the way the Thunder built their team versus the way the Sixers built their team. They both did a process, right? They both did. It's just sometimes things worked out for one team, things didn't work out for the other team. The Celtics, we all know the horror of Jason Tatum versus Markelle Fultz. Tatum is now an NBA champion. Markelle Fultz has bounced around the NBA, and it didn't work out here in Philadelphia. But it was just a weekend where, even though I can lock into a game and not think about the Sixers, when the day comes to an end, I go, damn, it would have been nice if I had a horse in this race.
Yeah, would have been fun.
And this season was just such a disaster. And I'm worried that they're going to run it back. Daryl Morey kind of made it seem like that will be the case. James Harden did literally call him a liar in Neon before, so who knows? Maybe he's just saying that because the season came to an end and he can't say, yeah, Paul George is going to be traded, right? Like, he can't come out and say that. But I get worried that there's this thought of, well, we never really had a chance this year because of all the injuries.
Well,
Next-
you know that's going to be the go-to card.
Right.
You know it is.
And I'm worried about that because, again, you know the Embiid injury is going to happen at some point. You know that the Paul George injury is going to happen at some point. And then you're relying once again on Tyrese Maxey, who really for the first time in his career missed time because of an injury. It's just, this weekend was just disappointing because I see how these other teams are built.
Uh-huh.
In the Western Conference, I can make the case that there's like 5 or 6 teams that could legitimately win the NBA championship this year. In the East, there's really only one, and it's the Boston Celtics. But
you don't think Cleveland's legitimate?
No, I think the Cleveland Cavaliers were a regular season darling. They had a good win last night, but I think the Celtics are the team in the Eastern Conference. But that doesn't mean they don't have a chance next year. Or if you look at the Pistons, I think the Pistons are a team on the rise. Maybe the Knicks figure some stuff out this next offseason. There's teams that are like one piece away, and it doesn't have to be a max contract player. The Sixers are far away.
The Sixers are far away. The Sixers are not
that bums me out.
And you know the talking point's going to be that we can do this thing because Joel's going to be back healthy. Paul George is, he'll be a year or more removed. He's going to be ready to go. That's what they're going to do. They're going to try to spin it to you. That's what they're going to do.
Hey, they could only be 10.6% away.
Yeah,
you never
know. What's that going
number
to
one
be?
overall, number one overall pick, Cooper Flagg. That's what Connor's saying.
That would get you pretty damn close.
Well, if what do I get out of Joel Embiid?
Right,
What do I
because if
get out
Embiid
of-
misses 60 games, Cooper
I missed
Flag's not winning
gonna-
you enough.
Right. I mean, like, it's not winning me enough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen.
Now, I love that Daryl Morey finally had the come to Jesus Luzardo moment.
There you go.
That they need to be younger.
Wow.
It's just a shame that it took this long to have that moment.
Well,
at least he had it.
He'd been
Question mark.
He'd been hanging out with Rob Thompson.
Yeah.
So his reaction time's a little slower than they should be.
It's just this weekend, as much fun as I had watching good basketball again, it was just a reminder of how bad this season was. And I just needed to talk to my friends about that.
Do you still, really? You still see basketball and you just think, man, this season sucked? Like, I don't know. I've moved on, right? Like, I've moved on a long time ago from what this season was.
Yeah, but if I'm watching the playoffs and if I'm hoping if I'm hoping the Sixers are back in it next year, I have to compare them to the other teams that are in the playoffs. And I don't know how close. Like,
who are they?
Are they close to the Boston Celtics? Like when Daryl Morey said that, remember the meme was like the record since Daryl Morey said they're still contenders was like 4-24 or whatever.
Right.
At the time, I didn't believe it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm able to separate the playoff basketball from the Sixers not even being close, being like a lottery pick team this year. Like,
I look at it
during
and
the
go,
game, I can, but when the night comes to an end,
I'm
right,
saying to myself,
damn,
how do we get back to that, to just the most basic of weekends?
yeah, round one,
The most basic. For God's sakes, we weren't even invited to the
playing.
The Ugly Kids tournament. We weren't even invited to that one.
How did the Sixers? How did the in-season tournament go?
not good.
Who won that one?
They lost that one too.
Indiana, the most irrelevant thing in sports.
Wait, did Indiana? Was Indiana part of that? I think it was. Could have been. Who knows?
But that's the thing. Like it's just disappointing that I watched the first day and second day of the NBA playoffs, and we don't have a horse in the race.
Nope. We have a horse that's headed to the glue factory.
Well,
honestly, seriously. We're not. Our horse isn't coming back. It's not like our horse is heading to the glue factory.
Yeah.
We're looking to get the new horse.
It's pretty disappointing. By the way, the Bucks beat the Thunder in the in-season tournament.
Oh, it was the Bucks that
How
won.
was that not memorable for you?
Yeah, it wasn't.
All right, coming up next, today's headlines with Connor Thomas. It is Kincade and Salciunas on a Championship Monday, presented to you by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com. We'll check some text messages as well. The Eagles, thank you for being you. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The NFL Draft is right around the corner.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Eagles, Phillies on the table. As it is April 21st, I'm in a state of zen with the Philadelphia Eagles. I love it that they're trendsetters, Johnny. So coming up in the next segment, as we're about to do today's headlines, what else do the Eagles do that just teams around the NFL don't seem to get?
Okay.
We'll get into that coming up in the next segment, but it is 8:12. It is time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Brought to us by who?
Our friends over at Lundy Law for over 70 years. Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name Lundy Law. Your injury lawyers, visit lundylaw.com. That's lundylaw.com. Now, as promised, 8:13 for this segment, but we'll adjust.
Sorry, making you work harder today.
I know we had some conversation just last segment about it, but the NBA and NHL playoffs began over the weekend. You guys have any big takeaways? I'm sure you watched some of the action.
I believe that the youth has been served, and I saw speed. I saw speed on display. A fast brand of basketball that I haven't seen from the Sixers in, well, forever. And I enjoy a quick, speedy game, transition game.
Yeah.
I saw more of that this weekend than I've seen in a long time.
My takeaways, the Celtics are the kings of the Eastern Conference. I think it's the Celtics and everybody else. Our man Stan from Drexel Hill, who I know you value his opinion immensely on basketball.
I think he's one of our best NBA guys.
He heard our conversation about the Cavs, sides with me, and says the Cavs are the 2015 Atlanta Hawks, who you talked about a lot. Regular season darlings, lots of wins, and then they just weren't really built for the playoffs. In the Western Conference, the Thunder are really good.
Oh, yeah? Ask Memphis.
The Grizzlies are really, really bad.
Yeah.
What was that, a 51-point win for them?
Yeah, 51-point win. But ultimately, their biggest test, I think, comes in the second round. It'll be the winner of the Clippers-Nuggets series because the Clippers, I think, are a very good basketball team. The Nuggets also have the championship pedigree, which, as we have followed along the storyline of the Sixers, they never got over the second-round hump, right? I got to see the Thunder do it before I start crowning them the way I crown the Boston Celtics, the team in the East. But pretty good start for them in
so if the
game
Thunder
one.
if the Thunder gets by the second round, I never have to hear it again.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
that's good. I'm ready for that.
Unless it gets
that
swept.
Thunder team's
in
on
the
the
conference finals.
That's kind of
no. If they get past the second round,
they get past the second round.
They're there. They got past.
Look, that's the thing. That's the thing the Sixers could never get. And oh, by the way, they both built their team in a very similar way.
They did.
Right? They tanked. They got rid of players.
Well, they also did a much better job of selecting talent when they tanked.
Correct.
And that's what we're going to see. We'll see if it pays off.
It's not like the Sixers, their main mistake was the Markelle Fultz one in terms of drafting. Because if you looked
at they traded up to do it.
If you looked at the other drafts, it was maybe the tank was at a bad time.
Yeah, Okafor wasn't great either. Ben Simmons wasn't great either.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but Okafor was the best pick of that time in the draft.
But they tanked at the wrong time.
Right.
Yeah.
Not that you knew. Like, you wouldn't have known
That's all right.
when the right time to tank was.
Sure.
If you look at the drafts have gotten much better.
Okay. Well, we don't have to relitigate the tank.
Like Okafor was better if he played in the 90s. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the 90s.
It was not. But this weekend, you still got a chance to watch good basketball, good hockey. We're going to still remain zoned in on that. Now, something else the Phillies fans should be zoned in on. Not the bullpen, but did you guys see the tweet from a certain Braves player from over the weekend?
Yes, I heard all about the controversy.
Okay, so there was a situation where Jared Kelenic was not hustling as much as he should in the Braves game over the weekend. And Mark Bowman, who covers the Braves for MLB.com, put out a tweet responding about something that Brian Snitker said after the game.
Now, by the way, real quick, in case people don't know, Kelenic hit a ball off the wall. He thought it was a home run. He was eyeing it down.
Yeah. He ran like a Phillies base runner.
He then this is even worse.
Styling and profile.
He's admiring the ball, and then when he realizes it doesn't cross the fence, he tries getting to second because of the double, and he gets thrown out at second base. So it's not just that he didn't hustle.
But it was terrible.
It's that he didn't hustle, and then he got thrown out trying to stretch it into a double. So go on.
But this is not a Kelenic story. This is a Ronald Acuna Jr. story because he responded to Mark Bowman's tweet about that and said, if it were me, they would take me out of the game. The Braves are falling apart from the inside out. My goodness.
And he absolutely would have.
Yeah.
Their manager would absolutely hold someone accountable.
But they didn't hold
and
Kelnick
pull him out of a game.
They didn't pull the guy.
They didn't have somebody to do it. He said, who did you want me to put in? Was the exact answer that he even gave.
Right.
Who did you want me to put in at the time in the game? He would have gladly done it. That is an organization that does that, absolutely calls it in.
That's also an organization falling apart right now, it seems.
I don't believe that at all. I think they're going to be.
They did just sweep the. They just. Swept
I think they're going to be right back in
the Twins are terrible.
I think they're going to be right back in the mix. So are the Marlins. We didn't sweep them. They didn't. They did. They're going to be right back in the mix. Get up on them while we can. We can.
Ronald Acuna Jr. was not wrong for his tweet. For what he said.
Well, no, he's wrong for the tweet.
For what he said. But
no, not wrong for
the tweet. You can't put that out there, man.
Yeah.
That's like Taijuan Walker liking tweets, ripping Rob Thompson after the World Series.
Thompson and Snicker are two different mentalities as far as managers, as far as accountability. And he literally said afterwards, he didn't try to get, he goes, who did you want me to put in?
Rob Thompson, 2-0 in his career against Snicker in postseason series.
Yes.
We'll round out with our replay.
Have you reached any sort of state of zen with the Eagles, or are you still looking for things that could potentially concern you going into week 1 of the NFL season?
Now, I'm glad that you listened to my Saturday show right here on 97.5 The Fanatic, Andrew.
Yep,
because
I was locked in.
This was something that I was essentially talking about on Saturday as well. I don't know how you're not very comfortable with where the Philadelphia Eagles sit right now. Like, they can go anywhere in the draft that they want to. They can pick a lot of different positions that seem to be deep. They've done enough to retain roster strength from last year. Like, you could not dream of a better position considering how tough it is to repeat than where the Eagles sit currently. So if you're not zen with the Eagles, I don't know what you're looking at.
I can't say they couldn't be in a better position. They could be. I mean, they literally had to do salary cuts because they have to start thinking about a year or two down the road.
Like, look at other Super Bowl winning teams. Everybody goes through it. Either they're poached or you're cutting back, or like year to year, Super Bowl winner to how you can set up for the next season. It is hard to imagine a team that's going to be in better shape than the Eagles are.
I would argue with the only thing I would argue with you on that, Connor, is that the Chiefs, at least 2 of their 3 years when they won the Super Bowl, were better. Didn't have to do some of the teardown that the Eagles have had to do, but the Eagles are getting into a great position.
Right.
Great position because the youth will be served.
I mean, hell, the Chiefs moved on from their number 1 wide receiver. And they
did that by complete choice, not by having to.
Yeah, they retooled a bunch of stuff. You don't notice the retooling because they have this Mahomes guy on offense, so he can throw to anybody.
Yeah, he makes your life a little bit easier.
You should be at a zen spot with the Eagles.
Yeah, and I am. Right now. When the season starts, it'll be a different conversation. Right now, I'm just not worried about anything. And I think that they're going to hit a home run in this draft as well, which starts on Thursday.
Let's hope.
Can't wait. Thursday, our man Andrew DeCecco will be in for a couple of hours on Thursday and Friday. All right, coming up next, because the draft is on Thursday, I want to talk about what this Eagles team does that it just seems like the rest of the league doesn't do, John. We talked about how they were the trendsetters of the running back. There's some things that are trend-setting. There's some things that they've just been doing for 20-plus years that other teams don't really believe in for whatever reason. We'll get into that coming up next. What the Eagles do so well that keeps them on top of the NFL, not just winning Super Bowls, but being in contention for the most part over the last 25 years. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Championship Monday morning here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
An up-and-down series win. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies won their series with the Marlins over the weekend, but it was not without their ups and downs. They gave away a win yesterday on Easter Sunday in the series finale. They were up 4-2 in the 8th inning, ended up losing 7-5 in 10, and the bullpen was not just an issue yesterday. It was an issue throughout this series. Rob Thompson talked about the struggles at the back end of the pitching staff yesterday.
Again, it's just part of the season, and I think that'll even itself out over time. But we played so many close games there for a long period of time that, yeah, we did lean on them, but they're a pretty resilient group.
Well, the hope of it evening out, I think the Phillies would like to see that soon because they take on the Mets for a big series starting tonight at Citi Field. Game 1 is at 7:10 p.m. this evening. Aaron Nola faces Tyler McGill. The NBA and NHL playoffs have gotten underway. Obviously, both Sixers and Flyers are out, so their off seasons have begun. And the NFL draft comes your way Thursday. We're going to keep you updated on everything you need to know with the Eagles in one of the biggest weeks of the offseason. Freddy Coleman of ESPN Radio joins us coming up at 9:10. This update's brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
97.5 The Fanatic and Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Thank God for the Philadelphia Eagles because the Phillies and their bullpen, disastrous. The Sixers are not in the playoffs. Neither are the Flyers. At least the Flyers are rebuilding. So, Johnny, as we get closer to the NFL draft, we're going to once again see the Eagles do something that a lot of teams decide not to do, and that's obviously continue to build through the trenches, right? We see that every single year, top draft capital. Last year, a little bit of an exception with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, but normally they like to bolster their trenches, which is something that we've been celebrating for 20-plus years, even though there have been times where people have been upset that they didn't draft like the flashy player and went with the offensive lineman or the defensive lineman. But the Eagles have proven time and time again that this is what works, whereas other teams will ignore it.
I love going after the line of scrimmage guys.
I was talking to your man, John Michaels, yesterday on ESPN Radio. He's from Atlanta, so and you know all about the Falcons as well.
They love shiny toys.
Well, he reminded me that the last 4 first-round picks have been skill position players.
And that's because Arthur Blank, their owner, is a meddlesome guy. And he wants toys. He wants marketing. He wants that because they need to do more of that.
By the way, the Eagles have marketed their offensive line pretty good.
Yeah, they don't get it.
There's Jordan Mailata jerseys everywhere. You know what I mean? Like
they don't get it.
There were Jason Kelsey jerseys everywhere. There's Lane Johnson jerseys everywhere because they realize that this city's all for it. And so I want to ask you guys, are there other things that the Eagles do or don't do that the rest of the league does the opposite of? And one of the first things that comes to my mind that I was thinking about, and we talked about this a lot in the early parts of the offseason, it's been 13 years the last time the Eagles used a franchise tag, right?
That's incredible to me. The day we looked that up, I was absolutely
13 years, Deshaun Jackson in 2012, and yet teams around the NFL still use it either every year or every other year. What the Eagles do is they get ahead of these contracts. It may mean moving on from guys a year early, like a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, like a Dallas Goedert.
Yes.
Because they have to start thinking about the next year. They could have easily have franchise tagged a player if need be, but it's not what the Eagles believe in. And you can't ignore the success that they've had since 2012, winning 2 Super Bowls, being the 3, getting to the NFC Championship games, winning double-digit seasons, winning their division. And yet teams just seem to say, no, this is something that we want to do.
It's one of the things I don't understand with the copycat league, that they don't get copied.
Yeah.
That people haven't tapped into their formula and done it. It just is, it's very, very surprising to me.
There were 9 teams that used the franchise tag just last year in 2024. There were 6 teams that used it in 2023. There were 8 teams in 2022. There were 10 teams in 2021. 13 in 2020? Right?
Really?
Like, yeah.
Wow.
Shaq Barrett, Bud Dupree, A.J. Green, Anthony Harris, Derrick Henry, Hunter Henry, Chris Jones, Matthew Judon, Yannick Ngakoue, Dak Prescott. That's 10. 14, Brandon Sheriff, Justin Simmons, Joe Thuney, and Leonard Williams.
That's crazy to me.
14 franchise tags in 2020.
Did that have anything to do with it being the COVID year?
Maybe. I'd say I thought the same thing, but I can't base everything off of COVID. I don't know.
Well, I'm just asking to think through it logically.
No, I get it, but it
is weird that seems to be when it was.
But that was the year when the salary cap, the only year when the salary cap did not go up.
Okay, fair. But then the next year was 10. The next year was 9. Right? It's still a lot.
The year the salary cap didn't go was the year after COVID.
Right.
So it was 2021.
No, that's what I'm saying. But the 2020 franchise tag would have been going into the 2021 season, right?
No. Would have been going into the 2020 season. Franchise tag is before the season.
Okay. Yeah, so going into the
whatever year your franchise.
I'm trying to figure out if this list is for the players that were.
It was for the if you're franchise for 2020, that means you're playing. That's for the 2020 season.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's just amazing. It's something that the Eagles don't do. The rest of the league does. Now, I'm sure some of those teams were very successful that year.
I'm sure.
But the Eagles just don't do it. And they don't need to do it because they get ahead of these contracts. And again, a lot of credit to
ahead of it beautifully.
A lot of credit to Jeffrey Lurie paying out of pocket. What else does the league not do that the Eagles do? Or the opposite?
Well, I think, too, is that as I said to you before, the Eagles literally carpet bomb Tuscaloosa and Athens.
Yeah.
The people around the Georgia program have told me, people at the Alabama program have said it before, that the Eagles people are always there. They're just there, constantly, and I love that.
And let's face it, a lot of GMs. I ripped Howie for the smartest man in the room syndrome. There's a lot of GMs that are like that.
Yeah,
they want to be the guy that says, "Yeah, all you guys were talking about this guy from Georgia, but we drafted this guy from not even Ohio State, Ohio of Miami, or Miami of Ohio. We drafted him, and look at how that played out. There are people that want to be the smartest man in the room,
absolutely,
and
they don't want to just follow somebody. You're overthinking it.
Don't overthink it.
And they do too much.
These are the top programs. What else, Connor? What comes to your mind?
Is not a safety.
Besides the white defensive backs. No, I mean, you guys have pretty much hit it. It's basically trenches first, find value at positions that the NFL doesn't necessarily value, pay the players early. I guess where most of this feeds up to, I think, is ownership. I think that Jeffrey Lurie is the ultimate deciding factor in all of this.
Big part of it.
Now, Howie Roseman in tandem with him, but some of these other GMs are forced to be in situations where they have to use the franchise tag or not pay these guys these upfront salary bonuses to cut down on the cap hit because their owner won't give them the money. Now, there's also GMs that do less with the opportunity that they're given, even if they're behind the eight ball, than what Howie Roseman would do. So it's not all Lurie, but the Eagles give money up front. And a lot of teams are not willing to do that.
And they won't. The owners won't do that. Arthur Blank does not do that.
Yeah.
When you just talk about that, like another owner in the NFC, he won't do it. He's just not going to do. He's not going to put the money out there in person.
Now, I have a question. Would you consider the Eagles a patient organization?
No.
Because we've talked about we've talked about Mike Tomlin. If he was here, he would not still be here.
If he worked for Jeffrey Lurie, he'd be fired long ago.
But then again,
long ago,
Nick Sirianni in the collapse, would he have been fired in other situations?
I don't think so. Not when you make. I don't think any team in the NFL is firing a coach who made the playoffs his first 3 years and got to an NFC title game. I mean, won an NFC championship.
And got to the Super Bowl, yeah.
No, I think he'd be available.
So you don't think the Eagles are patient?
No, I think they're one of the most impatient organizations in the NFL.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's one of the things I love most about them. It's one of the things I love absolutely most about them.
I mean, you rarely see players that the Eagles give up on go somewhere else and have major success.
Right.
Like TJ Edwards is probably the only guy right now.
They didn't give up on him like they got rid of him.
I think they gave up on TJ.
But they didn't bring him. Like I'm thinking, like when I think of give up, like I think of Carson Wentz, right? They're like, yeah, no, we're gonna trade.
They gave up on TJ Edwards because they wouldn't pay him. They didn't think he was worth paying and he did not make a fortune.
Right.
So to me, that was I think it was a miss. I think it's one of the rare misses of the last few years.
Yeah, but they have way more hits. Like they let Miles Sanders out of the building.
No
and he hasn't done anything.
No questions asked. That's why I say it's one of the rare misses. But it's a miss. Absolutely was a miss. Especially with the health of Nakobe Dean.
Well, yeah, that's
because
not
Nakobe Dean has not been. Yeah, he has
talented.
Not been there.
Talented for sure.
No question.
But the health has been a big factor. All right, so coming up next, Johnny, we know that this town isn't necessarily like a college football town.
We are not.
So I want to do something for you guys. Bucky Brooks of the NFL Network, he compared prospects that could be drafted in the first round to current and former NFL players.
Okay.
So what I want to do is some of the names that have been sort of on the radar for the Eagles when it comes to mock drafts and analysts.
Okay.
I'll tell you who they are compared to so that people have a better understanding of what that player may be. I think that's just a nice little added bit of education for the players that could come off the board come Thursday night for the Philadelphia Eagles on draft day. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Championship Monday here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Head to the contest page at 97.
97.5 The Fanatic on this Championship Monday morning, presented to us by our friends at Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning. Visit nopaybryant.com. NFL Draft on Thursday. Let me ask you real quick. Other than the Eagles, is there a team that you're like really intrigued to see what they end up doing in the first round on Thursday?
Washington. Yeah.
Interesting.
They're the only team of consequence in our division right now as a threat. So I want to see what Washington does.
Okay.
How do they build off of what they did last year and where they heading?
See, I look more so like the Giants, right? Because they could change the way the first round ends up going.
I guess they could, yeah, I guess so.
If they draft Shedeur Sanders at 3, is there a run on quarterbacks? If they draft Abdul Carter,
you're looking
3.
at it more from the Eagles standpoint.
No, I'm not looking at. See, again, this is where you and I differ a lot, which is amazing, right? Where the hip drop tackle gets banned, and your first thought is, "Wow, this helps Saquon Barkley." My
Correct.
first thought is NFL, and your first thought is Eagles.
Absolutely.
And so when I ask you the draft question, your first thought is, how does it impact the Eagles? Where I just go, even though the Giants are in the division, I'm looking at it more from an entertainment standpoint, how this draft could go. Where do you side on this, Connor?
Yeah, I lean more towards your side, where I'm just because I don't really see the Commanders as a true threat to the Eagles to the point where, well, let me put it this way, right? The Eagles are going to be a playoff team. I firmly believe that. And while the Commanders are going to be a solid team in division, I don't think there's a situation where the Eagles end up on the outside looking in. So I don't have too much. We talked about the spot of Zen. I don't have too much with the Eagles I'm worried about. So now I'm just more intrigued as to how the first round plays out from the NFL perspective.
Okay.
Like I'm normally a Philadelphia first.
Yeah,
person.
you're normal because I remember the hip drop conversation. I was the odd man out in that
but
conversation.
When I have faith to this level in a team and where they stand, I don't have to be Philadelphia first. They've given me the luxury of not caring what the Eagles do.
I love watching what they do. Is that I'm always looking. I would look if I'm going to look in the rearview mirror. I'm going to look at the teams closest to me more than I'm going to look at the teams furthest back. Even though it will be intriguing to see if the Giants or the Cowboys do something that we say, damn, that is a move that might jumpstart them becoming relevant again.
Interesting.
So that's how I am.
This is the beauty of the NFL draft starts Thursday.
We all look at it for different reasons. By the way, just a name for you.
Okay.
You know Scott Blewett? I know it's a terrible name for a reliever, but honestly, it should be the name. It should be the name for the Phillies bullpen. Scott Blewett, a right-handed pitcher, can pitch out of the pen, has pitched 8.2 innings this year already.
Okay.
Has a 1-point-something ERA. Was available for anybody in Major League Baseball to get yesterday. The Braves went and got him for cash. Phillies, no, we're good. We're good. Let's have more Jordan Romano. Just a guy. No, all you had to do was spend money. All you had to do is just pay some money. And instead, the Braves go and get him proactively.
Right.
And the Braves aren't even in a position where they really need him that much.
So hang on. How did he throw 8-some innings and have that ERA and he was available?
Because he got of roster positions of teams that he was with. He was with two teams was with two teams. Now he was doing mop-up duty, but he had 8
Right, but they what, released him?
Yeah, two different teams released him because of the Orioles had to release him because of a pitcher coming back off the DL, so they didn't have a roster spot for him. And the same way, that's how he was available from Minnesota to the Orioles when they grabbed him. So he's available from two different teams. He's healthy. They can go get him. 8.2 innings, 1.39 ERA, available right-handed pitcher. Phillies, now we're good. We're good.
Yeah, I'm not losing sleep over them not getting a guy that two teams over 2 weeks have already said no on.
But not because
I get the point that you're making.
Neither one of them, though, because of the fact that he was terrible. We have guys who are terrible. These are teams saying, we got young guys, we're getting rid of them. We got young guys, they consider him a quad A type reliever.
Okay.
And they're like, no, but we don't have a spot for him on our roster. That's why he's being moved on. We've got terrible guys that they're going to stick with.
Yeah, but they may have guys in their farm system right now, the Phillies, that are considered quad A guys that could maybe come up instead.
Well, then where are
they?
they?
Well,
I don't believe they do. By the way, I do not believe that they do.
It's Easter Monday. It's probably where they
may not want to be drastic just yet, but we'll see. I don't know what they do with Romano.
I don't think I don't think that's drastic. Shutting down Romano for 10 days.
No, it's not.
And picking up a guy for pennies on the dollar, just cash, Not giving up a prospect, I think it's the kind of stuff that you kick in, unless you don't want Jordan Romano to end up being a mistake.
Well,
and you're going to do whatever it takes to try to prove it right.
Listen, I said this weekend, get Jordan Romano on the first bus out of here. So don't take this as he's good, he's been good, everyone's missing something. The guy was an all-star in 2 of the last 3 seasons.
He was.
Right. But after
before a major injury that he doesn't look ready
I got
for.
you. Yeah. But listen, it's not like the guy doesn't have a track record and he stinks. I think the Phillies are right to say, hey, we may still be able to squeeze some juice out of this lemon.
I got to tell you, squeeze the juice out of a guy. Give him a chance. Guy's been pitching well this year.
A chance.
Give him a chance for nothing. You don't have to pay him anything. And just say, hey, Jordan, take 10 days off. Take 10 days off.
Well, you're already
sort of like Brandon Marsh.
You're already doing that with Brandon Marsh.
Yes.
How many guys you want to give vacation? All right, so Bucky Brooks of the NFL Network and Fox, he compared some of the draft picks for Thursday's first round to some current and former NFL players. So to maybe give people more of insight on who some of these players could be at the NFL level, we'll start with Walter Nolan, the guy that we've talked about probably the most leading up to the first round of the NFL draft, and now we're hearing that he could go even in the teens at some point today.
Crazy.
That's how nuts that this NFL draft could end up being on Thursday. Bucky compares him to Ed Oliver, who's a defensive tackle with the Buffalo Bills.
I like Ed Oliver.
Ed Oliver just 2 seasons ago had 9.5 sacks. Last year just 3, but he only played in 14 games. He's one of those defensive tackles that can get after the quarterback.
Rotational,
yeah.
Get after the quarterback.
But get after the quarterback, which is the big thing, because Milton Williams was your get after the quarterback defensive tackle next to Jalen Carter, whereas Jordan Davis is the run stuffer next to Jalen Carter. Another name, I'm only saying it because we read the mock draft that had the Eagles selecting Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver at Ohio State, even though I don't believe that to be the case at all. They do have him compared to Amon-Ra St. Brown, which sounds awesome because Amon-Ra St.
Sounds great. Yeah, that sounds really great.
And you can play Amon-Ra St. Brown anywhere on the field. Could you imagine if you added another slot receiver to this offense? I'm just not using first-round capital.
No, can't do that. Not even a question.
When you have as many needs as you have.
And the Eagles do have needs. They have needs. Not just once. They have needs.
Right. Now, I'll give you one more player. I don't believe they're going to get him. The other safety, we talk about Malachi Starks a lot from South Carolina, Nick Emanwari. Andrew DeCecco's talked about him numerous times with us. He has him compared to a former NFL player in Cam Chancellor, which sounds really good because the Eagles do need safety help. But I just don't know if he's going to be available at 32, and are the Eagles going to trade up for a safety? I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
You know.
That's fair. I don't believe they will, but
here's what he wrote about him, though. Like, this would make Eagles fans salivate, like the nitty-gritty Philadelphians. The extra-large defensive back is part punisher and part playmaker, as a combo safety who is comfortable playing in the box or as a roaming center fielder in the deep middle. His exceptional size, athleticism, instincts, and ball skills make him the prototypical safety that defensive coordinators covet in the middle of the field. That sounds nice.
It does. Yeah, it does. That sounds really nice. Sounds
really
perfect.
Nice. Yeah. Sounds like something they need.
Sounds like something that Kyle Hamilton could have been doing for them now for 3 seasons.
Or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who you traded away because maybe it was more so in-house than financial.
Yep.
As we're coming to find out.
Get out.
As the days go on. All right, coming up next, draft is Thursday, as we know. But something big starts tonight. We're going to preview the series for the Phillies with the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year. I'm still sick over it. But I have a question. How much of a measuring stick this series will be?
And we also have a Philadelphia PSA that needs to happen next.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
On something that just happened.
Here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils take 2 of 3. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies did win their series with the Marlins over the weekend, but it did not come about without bumps in the road. They gave a game away yesterday in a bit of a bullpen blow-up from Ryan Kirkering. Not as big of a blow-up as you had from Jordan Romano on Saturday. They lost 7-5 and 10, by the way, yesterday. And Rob Thompson talked about the bullpen issues after the series.
Again, it's just part of the season, and I think that'll even itself out over time. But we played so many close games there for a long period of time that, yeah, we did lean on them. But they're a pretty resilient group.
Now, it is still a series win, like we said, so the Phils are looking to use that momentum to have a successful series in their first matchup with the Mets, who have started off the season pretty darn well. Game 1 up in New York at Citi Field is at 7:10 this evening. Aaron Nola versus Tyler McGill. The NBA and NHL playoffs have gotten underway. Both the Sixers and Flyers off seasons have already begun. The NFL draft comes your way Thursday. We're going to keep you updated on everything you need to know with the Eagles in one of the biggest weeks of the offseason. Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio will join us coming up at 9:10. This update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. That feeling of owning your first Mercedes-Benz is hard to believe, but it's real. From the leather stitching to the iconic design, every element of a Mercedes lives up to its reputation. See for yourself at your local dealer. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Go ahead, Connor. I saw the tweet during the commercial break, but you saw it first, so let the people know the latest nonsense.
Stealing Eagles players' cars. Why is this a thing that's... Oh, my goodness. A.J. Brown apparently had his car stolen last night. He tweeted out, "Dear Philly, to whoever stole my car last night, I'll make a deal with you. Bring back my car and I won't press charges. Or when I find you today, it's going to be what it's going to be. Take it or leave it, my guy."
Yeah, we had Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's car stolen a couple of years ago, and now A.J. Brown's car is stolen. How about we just stop stealing anybody's car?
Yeah, how about we stop doing that?
How about we just...
And if you're,
I'm going to sound like a square
and
here.
if you're going to
follow the rules.
And if you're going to come at me with somebody's just trying to feed their families, you're full of crap. Your eyes are brown.
Yeah, I don't know.
Stop stealing cars.
That one's above my pay grade.
For God's sakes.
At least in the Philadelphia sports sphere, stop stealing the Super Bowl champions' cars.
Imagine if you were hungry and A.J. Brown's car was sitting there. You'd steal it too. No, stop.
I can't eat a car.
As
Can't
it's
eat
gone
a
to
car.
as it goes to the chop house factory.
Yeah.
And it's probably already chopped up.
It might be.
It's probably already up.
So yeah, somebody stole A.J. Brown's car.
It's incredible.
This is ridiculous. Just
It's absurd.
Enough. Be good people. Everybody, just be a good person.
Or maybe we just, we could, as a city, we could come down a little harder on the people who do this stuff. That might be a theory. It's just a weird theory.
Now hold on a second.
That'd be great.
We don't know if he lives in this city.
No, he does. I thought he did.
Does he? I don't know.
I thought he did.
I don't
thought he lived near,
I don't know where A.J. Brown lives.
I thought A.J. lived near the where the carnival was going on, out in South Philly.
No, because
He
that's
was
by the
driving by
Novacare
it.
complex.
Yeah, he
so
was
might have
driving
just
by
been
it.
down
Could have
there
been driving
So
by.
I don't know if he was going back over, Walt,
Well, if he whoa. If it happened in Jersey, then he needs to change the tweet.
because it says "Dear Philly."
Because Philly isn't stealing your car. If it gets stolen in Jersey, somebody on the roundabouts is doing that.
Right.
That's not the same.
I don't know who took it, but whoever did,
Roundabout.
just stop. Leave the Eagles alone.
Yeah, because you know what? A.J. Brown's going to go, you know what? That New England Patriots stuff does sound nice.
I actually heard that they're looking at a Patriots fan as the main suspect. So A.J. Brown just
Trying
said
to
here.
grease the skids for a trade?
By the way, can we stop with that nonsense, by the way?
It's so dumb.
Please, you want to give out another PSA? This A.J. Brown trade talk has to freaking stop.
Oh, my God.
It's a waste of everybody's
It's
time.
on, incessant.
It's a waste of everybody's time.
Remember Lie
It's
Week?
not
Remember
happening.
Lie Week? And
And but by the way,
if you're creating shows on this topic, honestly, I'm going to tell you, if that's what you wanted us to do, or wanted me to do, I wouldn't do it. I can't do it. I'm not interested in. Let's make up a fake trade. Let's make up something that can absolutely never happen, with sour cap ramifications or otherwise, and then talk about it. I can't do it.
by the way,
it's disrespectful
if you're
to the audience.
If you're the Patriots, I love A.J. Brown. You're trying to rebuild here.
Oh,
now,
no,
A.J. Brown's a stud. He makes an impact right away.
He does. He does, but you're...
Why would you give up a top 5 pick for a wide receiver?
Terrible.
In his late 20s.
It's not happening.
Who's making a lot of money.
Dumb. But keep making up stories.
But stop stealing cars. Ultimately.
That would
was
help, yes.
That was the first PSA. Stop stealing anybody's car.
Yeah, and if you're gonna steal one,
anybody's
do
car.
like Salciunas or Kincade.
No,
Leave
please
AJ
don't
Brown
do that
alone.
to me. I gotta get in here at 5 o'clock in
I'll
the
give you
morning.
his license
think I
plate
want to
number
walk
so you
out
can
there and
hunt
not
it.
find my car? You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibility.
Or you could clean out your garage and park in the garage. Then you never have to worry about that.
Well, my garage is clean, but it's.
Can you put a car in it?
I could probably get one car. I got 6 bikes.
Okay, hang them on the wall.
I got all my lawn stuff hanging on the. I'll take a picture of my garage.
Okay,
later
yeah.
for you.
Hang on. Why
And
the hell do you have 6 bikes?
Coop's
Why?
got the tricycle. He's
Okay.
got the.
There's still 5 unaccounted for bicycles.
He's
here.
got, he's got the. He doesn't have 6 bikes. He's got the tricycle.
Okay.
My parents got him the old school red Flyer bike or whatever.
Oh, okay.
It was awesome. He's got the bike where you can hold the handle at the top, so if he decides to stop pedaling, we can go for a walk and push him, and he'd rather be in
Okay.
a bike than a stroller now that he's no longer a baby. And then Christy got him one of the balance bikes. Have you heard about these things?
No.
There's no pedals. They push with their legs. It's a good way to start.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Oh,
about.
that's a cool thing.
Yeah, it's
Get
actually
used to the so you don't get fear of the
Correct.
concept.
We just got that this weekend. So 3 bikes, 3 different
so
types
Cooper's
of bikes.
spoiled
Oh,
we
my
have,
God,
we figured this out.
And then he's got the Santa brought the those cars. The
the
Jeep.
hooks. The hooks are great.
Yeah, I have hooks, but I have it for all my lawn stuff. I have a lot of lawn stuff. It's just my grass isn't green.
How much lawn stuff do you have? Like, you don't have more wall space to hang up these bikes.
I'll send you a picture later.
Okay.
Because I have it organized.
You think it looks like Christina's?
No, I'm not a murderer.
My
With
wife,
all due respect to your wife.
My wife could literally do this for a living.
I think
she could go to people's houses and say, "Your garage looks like hell. Here's how you organize."
I think that's the first place they should check for AJ Brown's car.
Can you organize the Phillies bullpen?
Yeah, that would be nice.
You cannot.
Speaking of, so the Phillies begin a series with the Mets today, and
you ready to go?
My first thought is, bleep the Mets. Do me a favor. You embarrassed me last year losing to this team. Do me a favor and beat this team and retake first place in the NL East. But I have a question for you. Legitimate. So we talk about measuring stick series all the time, right? How much of a measuring stick can you have when you realize the legitimate issues with your team? Like, if the bullpen has a very good series against the Mets, I'm not going to all of a sudden say the bullpen is saved.
Okay.
So how much of a measuring stick can you actually pull away from this upcoming series with the Mets, other than maybe like the offense? Like, obviously, we're seeing what Johan Rojas can do on a daily basis, and he's getting that opportunity now with Brandon Marsh on the injured list. But there's also some areas where I can't really do much of a measuring stick because I think I already know who they are.
Okay. I mean, it's you can't. It's the whole measuring stick thing is important. Is that trying to figure out? It's a constant evaluation.
Yeah, but are you evaluating the bullpen right now?
Yes.
That they need to improve. That's what I'm saying. If they had
I'm absolutely no.
But if they had three good days against the Mets, I'm not all going to all of a sudden say that they're saved.
No, that they're not saved. But I'm absolutely evaluating it as it goes along. And right now, this bullpen is an F.
Oh yeah.
This bullpen is the second worst in baseball. This is Dave Dombrowski allowing it to happen. He opened the door and let guys walk out of it, and sent one of them out. He let the other two just walk out instead of just even keeping one of them. And one decision then compounds every single other position on the ladder of anticipation of what you have to use each guy for. And the fact that he let Hoffman and Estevez go, both of them. If he let the whole Sir Anthony thing, you saw that coming. Mm-hmm. I really did not. I was 50-50 on it. You were very adamant about it. You proved right on that one. The fact that he let Estevez and Hoffman go,
that was bad.
I cried about it then. I'll cry about it now. It was a dumb.
You weren't begging for both
decision.
to come back. You were begging for one.
Just one.
Yeah. Now, we got to remember we're probably looking at the floor of this bullpen right now. It's hard to imagine it gets worse from here.
Well, there's only one team worse than them.
I will say this. I've seen it worse.
You better be right.
We've seen it worse.
4 years ago, I saw it worse.
But not with the names you have, right? And I know the names don't do a lot for you right now when the guys can't pitch. Like half of them can't.
Yeah, but again, I'll bring it up. They've pitched a lot of games already. There's a lot of 10 outings already this early on in the season for your biggest arms. And I get it. You're going to use them a lot. And you're talking about the 16 days, 16-game stretch in 16 days. Man, if they can only turn to 2 or 3 guys on a nightly basis, that's going to add up real quick.
Which is why I'm not crushing Rob Thompson for the way he handled the Romano inning on Saturday. But I'm more evaluating the Mets in this series than I'm evaluating the Phillies. The Mets, what we said going into the season was their rotation stinks, their pitching is subpar, their offense is going to be what carries them. They've had an unbelievable start to the year on the mound. And I haven't been zoned in on like how they're doing it, but I know that their team ERA is one of, if not the best in baseball.
Pitching has the advantage at the beginning of the season.
I got you. And that's why I'm evaluating this, because if they can pitch, they're a problem. And if the Phillies go out there and they just had a really good offensive series against the Marlins, if they can continue to take advantage of some guys and make the Mets look human. The Mets really haven't played anybody yet. I'm more evaluating where the Mets are in comparison because we kind of know what the Phillies are.
Phillies, by the way, on paper, have the pitching advantage this series.
Over and over again.
If Aaron Nola, again on paper. Aaron Nola tonight against Tyler McGill. Christopher Sanchez in Game 2 against Griffin Canning. Zach Wheeler, Game 3 against David Peterson, who we've seen give fits to the Phillies before.
Yep.
But the Phillies have the distinct pitching advantage in this upcoming series, which is why, like from the beginning, when we're talking about the Phillies and Mets and who is the better team, if this was the first round of a 5-game series, I'm saying advantage Phillies.
Well,
now,
we said that last year too,
right? And the Mets ended up being the Phillies. But these three pitchers, it's advantage Phillies. But let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, and we saw not that anybody was concerned, and we talked about it on Friday. We saw Wheeler bounce back.
Yes.
And show what Wheeler was.
Yeah, we
expect
13 Ks, monster.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
What we need to see tonight is Aaron Nola give them one real adequate performance.
Well, and also because
spot.
of the bullpen getting taxed.
Adequate. He doesn't have to be outstanding. I thought giving up 2 runs in the St. Louis loss, I didn't think that was bad
but
at all.
I can't have him only going 5.
No, he can't. He has to
Which he only went 5
He has to
against
give
St.
you an
Louis.
adequate performance tonight. Give him a chance to win.
I need 6+.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I need to. No, it's not. He's getting paid $70 billion.
No, against the Mets, that is a lot.
They haven't been hitting all that well. Pete Alonso's their only guy over 300.
Yeah, I need him to go 6+ tonight because your bullpen is getting taxed.
Now, if they win tonight, they win the series because you're not losing Sanchez Wheeler back to back.
I agree with you.
So, big game tonight.
Yeah, some are saying it's a must win.
No one's saying it's a must.
I hope not.
Come on.
All right, coming up next. This is special. I'm excited for this. Johnny used his ESPN contacts. Freddy Coleman, who is an ESPN radio host and like a legend for me in my career.
On post-show headlines, we asked, who's your favorite ESPN radio host of all time? We got asked. And you said Freddy Coleman. I said, then we're getting Freddy Coleman on Monday. He'll join us coming up.
So he's joining us coming up next. We'll talk about all kinds of stuff with an ESPN radio host that I love. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic. We want to hear from you.
Kincade Salciunas is presented to you by The Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. You need details? Go to Bagster.com.
There goes the perfect game. Damn it.
There goes the perfect game.
Damn it.
for your last 2 days.
Well, I mean, that 2 days was on Friday. That was a long time ago.
Welcome to Kincade and Marsh.
Come on, man.
Welcome to Kincade.
That's the most disrespectful thing you've ever said.
Kincade and Romano.
Honestly, I might fight you during the commercial break if you're comparing me to. I'll be respectful.
Hey, Friday after the show, we do post-show headlines every single day. It's on our YouTube channel, and the questions come from our listeners
on Fridays. Yep.
And we were asked favorite Sports Center anchor. And then I threw to you, since you were debuting on ESPN Radio this weekend, your favorite ESPN radio anchor. And you mentioned my man, Freddy Coleman.
Yes.
And I said, well, then let's get Freddy Coleman on the show.
I love that. He's joining us now on the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business, big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next.
My
Freddie.
brother, Freddie.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brother John and Brother Andrew. How's everything going this morning outside of the whole no one's getting ice cream if we're going to turn this car around if you guys keep this up?
Yeah, no, honestly, if he calls me Brandon Marsh one more time, there might be fists thrown at some point during the commercial break.
It's been a rough start. It is so good to talk to you, my man. And when I heard that Andrew, he had no hesitation that Freddie Coleman was his guy. And I don't know how many people in the Philly area, because they don't know your football allegiance, there are many people here who love you, Freddie, who adore you.
Right.
And anyone who knows you does. But I was glad to be able to arrange this meeting today.
It's cool. And it's funny because my story is obviously a little bit different than most. You know the deal when you start out in radio, you're working every shift imaginable, right? And so I would work the closing shift here at the station before we would go to the ESPN overnight syndication. This was, 9-10 years ago. And we would always send things off to the Freddie Coleman show overnight. So I was like, I love this guy. And when I brought him up, Johnny said, we're going to get him on the show. So it's cool to have you on, Freddie.
It's really cool to hang out with you guys. And believe me, everybody has a similar story where you start off at a certain place, but you have an affection or an affiliation with somebody, whether they're on the same radio station that you work at or working for the same network that you're affiliated with. And you're no different, Andrew, than anybody else out there who's had a chance to go from one point in this business and try to climb that ladder to get to where you want to be, and hopefully you attain those kind of goals you've been able to try to set for yourself.
Well, that's why I have John Kincade next to me, because I want to be John Kincade one day, Freddie.
Well,
there you go.
And I want to be retired someday. But Freddie, I mean, when you look when you look at where we're sitting right now in Philly, where we're in that phase of something that when you and I worked together at ESPN, I'd never really experienced 3 Super Bowls in 8 years, two championship parades. It's a totally different era for Eagles fans. And right now, we're sort of we're sniffing ourselves. And even you can understand, right, why we are feeling that way.
Well, you should feel that way because look at, like you mentioned, what the Eagles been able to do. And think about if they had gotten their way back when and had a chance to run Howie Roseman out of that city, how that organization would really look. And we don't know where that organization would be. They decided to stay the course with him, and he's one of the smartest general managers that we've seen in the last 25 years, and not just in the National Football League, with his ability to build a team and build a roster the right way and not keep mistakes in the building. If you're not working out, he's going to move on and bring in somebody else, whether you're a coach or whether you're a player. And when you have a team that's been able to do that in a certain city, it raises the boats for all the other cities, all the other teams in that city. If you're a Philadelphia Phillies fan right now, you're hoping your team won't flame out in the playoffs like that, what happened last year against my New York Mets. You're hoping that the Philadelphia 76ers will be able to get that right. You hope that the Philadelphia Flyers will be able to get that right. When you have a team that is so connected to a city like the Philadelphia Eagles are, and they're able to do that, it's able to put that pressure on all the other teams in your city to even get close to their level, and that's what the Philadelphia Eagles have been able to do.
So when you watch from the outside with what Philadelphia does, is there anything specifically that the Eagles do where you go, why don't other teams do that? What comes to your mind?
The one thing that comes to my mind with Philadelphia is that their talent evaluators are really, really good because they find so many different players inside and outside of the first round, or they've made really smart decisions in free agency. The only team I think that's on that level with Philadelphia right now is the team that they beat the blood out of in the Super Bowl in February, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs, because their talent evaluators are really, really good, and I thought they were the gold standard what we've seen the Eagles been able to do in the 3 of the last 4 years, what they've been able to put together and bring those kind of pieces. They lose a player, they have a great job. They do a great job of replacing that player with somebody else, whether it's an established veteran or a rookie player that's ready to do his thing. Or then you find a Nick Bond, for example, where he was misplaced in Green Bay. You bring to Philadelphia, and that guy's an all-pro, and he's first-team all-pro at the linebacker position, and then he gets a brand-new contract. So they're talent evaluators. Whatever secret sauce that they have or that Kansas City has, a lot of people have not been able to try to figure out that secret. And if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't give away those kind of secrets either, because they know exactly who they're looking for, who to go after, and how to properly put them in place for the kind of football team they've been able to build.
Unfortunately, Daryl Morey hadn't found that same magic dust, because the Sixers looks like they're heading to another process. This one's going to be dig themselves out of a giant hole that they've built.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, I know what he was trying to do with the process, but it didn't exactly work because of the player that he placed a lot of value in when it came to Joel Embiid. Had Joel Embiid been able to stay reasonably healthy, they got in the second round. Nobody's talking about Daryl Morey bringing that process to help him out and saying that it has not worked. No matter what you're able to do or who you're able to believe in, that person has to deliver. You can be the best talent evaluator in the business, or you could be the best head coach in the business, but if you don't have the right kind of talent, right kind of chemistry, it's going to blow up in your face, and then you got to bring the firemen and try to make sure the lab doesn't tear down the whole building. So Daryl Morey probably figured, I know this way works, but you can't be stubborn if that way has not worked and think that I'm just going to continue to run that thing out there, because that's the definition of insanity. So whatever he needs to kind of fix or kind of tweak, whatever that is, we may be heading to another process like that in Philadelphia, and the problem with that is there's not that Joel Embiid or that Cooper Flag on the horizon that you know you're going to get, that you can say that that's a building block for this process, and we can build from that person and put that kind of talent around that dude that we know can be a dude for our basketball team.
Freddy Coleman on with us here on Kincade and Salciunas, and one of the big things that Daryl Morey said after the season officially came to an end was he realized that just having a bunch of veterans might not be the best plan of attack. He realized that now. And you look at the NBA playoffs going on right now, you have a lot of young teams out there that have big goals. Mm-hmm. Boston looking to repeat, and then, of course, the Thunder in the Western Conference looking to make their statement. And they did a very similar thing that the Sixers did. It's just worked better.
Here's the deal, and you're exactly right, because you can't just throw big money at a big-ticket item and think that that's going to work. If you're going to have that kind of money to spend, then you got to make a smart decision. Prime example, look at the Golden State Warriors. They committed 2 years to Jimmy Butler, those prices, and we've seen what that's been able to do for that basketball team, where you could look at them and say, if they get out of this series against the Houston Rockets up 1-0, they're a legitimate threat. Or you do what Oklahoma City has been able to do, where you get a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in a trade, and then you realize, man, this dude's a bad dude. Let's get some young players around him, and now we got enough assets, we got enough draft picks that we can go get a veteran like Caruso and bring him into our basketball team, or get Hartenstein from the New York Knicks, and now you can fortify your front line with him. And also when it comes to Chet Holmgren, now you got 8, 9, 10 guys that can go out there and make plays each and every time. So there's different ways to do that, but you have to have people that are in charge making those smart kind of decisions. And if you believe that you're right in the way you're going to go about things, and it has not been proven to be correct in winning a championship, then the only person you're fooling is yourself. You're not fooling anybody else out there. You can throw money at Paul George, you can throw money at Joel Embiid, you can do all those kind of things. But if those guys are injured or not playing up to that capability, then you're the one that's going to pay the price, and not just that basketball team.
Hey, Freddie, the boss was pretty happy you were coming on this morning. Scott Masteller.
Scott Masteller, absolutely.
Talk about it. The world comes. You and I owe a lot to that guy, and he's sitting in the next office, probably critiquing this interview right now.
Well, I certainly hope so, because without his critiques, there's no way that you and I would be where we are, because he's one of the sharpest people. I'm not just talking about talent in terms of looking at talent and being a program director, but Scott Masteller is one of the sharpest people that anybody would ever want to meet. And you know me, John, I'm a big believer in the person.
I know
more
that.
than just the product. Yeah, you can have a great product, but if you're a terrible person, I don't want anything to do with that. But if you're a really terrific person, I'm going to want to be invested in your product. And you have Scott Masteller that's invested in so many different people that have been able to take that and branch that off and do wonderful things in so many different places.
All right, Freddie, we'll catch up with you again soon.
Yeah,
right,
it was
brother?
a pleasure getting to talk to you, Freddie. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sooner than sooner. So now I can have you guys return the favor and come on Freddie and Harry and
no
hang
question.
out with us.
Now, Harry still may hold it against me for bringing up the lights at the Georgia Dome. for that catch
Put it this way.
that he dropped in the NFC title game that kept him out of the Super Bowl.
Hey, John, he's young. He'll get over it. And he can't get over it. That's a Harry problem.
Freddie, have
that's
you
not
met
a John and Andrew problem.
You got to meet his dad, too. His dad was one of my favorite player parents I ever met. Great dude. Hey, buddy.
Fantastic.
Love you, man.
He's a man of my own heart. Talk to you soon, guys.
Take it, buddy.
There is Freddy Coleman on the Comcast Business Hotline. All right, coming up next, there's no chance the Eagles select this player. All right?
No chance?
No chance. But let's imagine for a second. I would like to hear from John Kincade and Connor Thomas how you would handle this specific player that will be coming out in the NFL draft come Thursday, probably in the top 3 picks. We'll tell you who and what next on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils give away a win. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies were in the giving mood on Easter Sunday. They gave away a win against the Marlins in the season finale, or the series finale, I should say. They were leading 4-2 in the 8th. They ended up losing 7-5 in 10 innings after Ryan Kirkland gave up a 3-run homer. The bullpen was an issue multiple times in the series, including Jordan Romano's outing on Saturday. Rob Thompson discussed the bullpen issues yesterday.
Again, it's just part of the season, and I think that'll even itself out over time. But we played so many close games there for a long period of time that, we did lean on them. But they're a pretty resilient group.
You have to hope it'll even itself out because this is not a sustainable level of bullpen pitching. We will see if it bounces back in the series tonight. A big one. Phil start a 3-game set with the Mets at Citi Field. Game 1 is this evening at 7:10. Aaron Nola faces Tyler McGill. The NBA and NHL playoffs began over the weekend. Of course, Sixers and Flyers already heading into their offseason. The NFL draft comes your way on Thursday. We'll keep you updated on everything you need to know with the Eagles in one of the biggest weeks of the offseason. This update's brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone with AutoZone. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
text message on either of our Eagles or Phillies discussions, 610-632-0975. And then I want to bring up Travis Hunter with you guys because I'm just curious to see what you would want to do if he came to your team. Obviously, the Eagles are not going to get him, but I'm just curious. It could be a different type of player that we are not used to seeing in the NFL, or it's been 60 years since we've seen, two-way players. But what do we got on the text line? I don't want to go away from that.
David Matt Laurel is not happy with the Phillies bullpen. I don't think he's alone right now, but he says there's nobody in that bullpen who has earned our confidence this year. As soon as you move from starter to bullpen, all bets are off this season. A total failure of the front office.
Well, and again, I feel confident that Jose Alvarado will get the job done, but the problem is not only is he being used a lot, he's pitching a lot in his outings. He's not really having the quick 10, 15 pitch outing all that often. He had 8 pitches, 2 pitches because he had to come in for the Romano meltdown. But there's been 3 outings where he's pitched at least 30 pitches. 1 outing where he threw 23 pitches, so 4 outings where he's thrown at least 20. When he gets shaky with his pitch, with the strike zone, those pitches go up.
Maybe the shakiness comes from the coffee.
Could be. 17,000 cups of coffee a day
which is
no
really
good
just stupid, by the way.
Yeah, it's not good.
Terribly stupid.
All right, Travis Hunter.
Okay.
Let's just think, again, outside the box because he's not coming to the Philadelphia Eagles.
But he's an interesting player, isn't he?
Fascinating because he
is
played two-way, for Colorado, and a lot of the snaps, a ton of snaps.
He played for Colorado.
Yes. He's coming to the NFL. It's going to be a lot different.
He didn't play in the SEC. He didn't play in some of the more. Right.
Let's say the Eagles drafted him. Would you want him to be full-time wide receiver, full-time corner?
Corner.
A little bit of both?
Corner.
So you would go just corner?
Corner.
Interesting.
Now, if you wanted to gadget it occasionally where you screw around, it's hard enough to learn those 2 positions in the NFL.
Right.
To be arrogant enough to think I'm going to be great at both.
But it seems like more people are going to go receiver first, then corner.
Not if I'm the Eagles, though.
Right.
If I'm the Eagles, I'm putting him next to Quinyon Mitchell, and I'm feeling like I have literally solved a problem for 8 or 9 seasons.
And I guess here, you obviously already have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith.
Exactly.
All right, fine. Take the Eagles out of it. Just Team X, right? Do you want them to play both sides of the ball?
No.
Oh, I'm a hell yeah.
Hell yeah,
not even a second thought
you
about
want to see it, or hell yeah because you think it's good for you?
Dude, here's the thing. The guy did it in college. I know college at Colorado is not the NFL, but do it. If it doesn't work, you can always change it. But if I'm going to use a premium pick on a guy that played both ways at the level that he did, he's playing both ways. He's playing wide receiver. He's playing corner. Go out there, big guy.
I do not believe that. I do not believe he will be a full-time 2-way player in the NFL.
No, they're gonna.
Not even I don't think there's a chance of that happening.
I wonder if maybe early they try to give him some shots, but eventually, look at how much money he's going to make in his. If he has a great start to his career,
yes,
he's going to make a ton of money on that second contract.
You have to special. You want
to make sure that he's healthy, right? That's a lot of snaps.
You have to You have to specialize in the NFL,
right?
You're not that. He's not that player.
Now he's tremendous at both.
Right.
Wide receiver though, he's just much better. That's the position I believe he's getting drafted as.
Correct.
But who knows? It's going to be really interesting. Now, I believe it was it the Browns GM that compared him to Shohei Ohtani?
I don't know who it was, but I know that comparison has been made.
I think that is crazy to me.
It was the Browns GM. That's insane because here's the deal. You've seen Ohtani now win an MVP, and did he win Cy Young?
Ohtani is the greatest player in his sport.
Yeah.
This is total hyperbole.
Yeah, you can't.
When you're talking about Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter hasn't even competed. He didn't even compete at the highest level of college football.
Right.
Yeah,
he was at Colorado.
Ridiculous where they are right now. But
by the way, Ohtani finished 4th in Cy Young voting back in 2022.
But I want to see it. If you're drafting this guy, you're drafting him with a top 5 pick, right? So you have multiple holes on your roster, or you would not be drafting top 5. Do it. And if it doesn't work the first year, or if you want to change it when you pay him the big contract, you're well within your right to do so. But I think it would be short-sighted to not give the kid a chance. Because let's say, right, there were plenty of people when Ohtani came over that questioned whether or not he could hit and pitch at the major league level.
Right.
And seems like that worked out. Now, I'm not saying.
Remember, they wanted him to not hit the days he was pitching.
Yeah.
Like, let him just focus on pitching. It's like, well, if the guy's Babe Ruth, the guy's Babe Ruth.
Right, exactly. And if Travis Hunter is Travis Hunter at the NFL level, then he is. But you're not going to find out if you don't give him the shot. I would give him the shot.
Now, do you think it would be too much to give a rookie that shot?
Yes.
Because as John said, you got to learn the playbooks.
Who's he playing for? They're going to stink anyway. Let him play both ways.
I don't believe
he's not going to be on a Super Bowl contending team. The team he's going to be on is winning 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, so let's say he's a corner, Connor.
Yeah.
He's on a bad team and he's a corner. That means he's going to get abused as a rookie.
Okay.
That means he's going to get the learning curve for him is going to be huge.
Welcome to the league, big guy. You want to play both ways.
And then you're going to go both ways. He's not going to be able to. He's not going to be able to fine tune one side, let alone two.
But I'm not leaving it on the table. Like, I'm not saying we're not going to find out.
Now, I'm not saying you can't find out, like tinker with it, but there's no way you're going, all right, boys, right off the bat, he's a two-way player.
And you can't do it for 17 games.
You can't.
Then you got to start worrying about wear and tear. You want to wear out your rookie.
Again, you could change it, but he might just be that guy. I don't think he is, but I'm not ever, for a team that's not contending for a Super Bowl, not going to find out with a player that talented.
He's not coming to the Eagles, so I want to see it. Like, I want to see him play both sides of the ball. He's not coming to the Eagles. I don't give a damn how it plays out, good or bad, right?
No, I want to be entertained. So
I want to see it. But if he was coming to my team, I'd probably want him to focus probably on more one side of the ball. But
we'll see. Let it play.
It's gonna look. They're gonna try it. Whoever drafts him. There's a reason why he's gonna go maybe number 2 overall to the Cleveland Browns. All right, coming up next, we got the key three best minutes from today's show. Before that, we'll get to some of the text messages about the Eagles. Are you in the state of Zen? Because I have been, man, all day today. It's been beautiful. No matter what John tried pulling out of me back in the 6 o'clock hour, I am in a state of Zen.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. I work with children. All right. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
Brandon Marsh is hitting $1.08. Dombrowski gets paid a lot of money to come up with solutions. He doesn't have any solutions in the outfield. There's just a problem.
on a Championship Monday presented to us by our friends at Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com. Way back in the 6 o'clock hour, continued during the show, but we talked about the state of Zen that I'm in with the Philadelphia Eagles. And John, you're still worried about certain things?
You said, what are you concerned about? Worry is not concern. There's a worry. A worry is, I don't think this thing can be fixed. I think things can be fixed.
Absolutely.
I think things can be fixed.
But on April 21st, man, I am zenned out.
I'm glad you are. I would say you are in post 420 oblivion.
No, somebody say it's another Monday morning.
If you are, and it all went back to Kevin Petullo. And if those who are in the, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm not
You're the
saying
same people that I tried to warn the last couple playoff years. You're with the Phillies, same people. There's healthy concern until somebody proves it to you. He does not deserve blind faith.
He does not deserve
in any way, shape, or form.
There's also unhealthy concern for the point in the calendar we're at.
No, it is. You have to have concerns because there's no reason that you think. If you tell me I have no concern about our wide receivers other than injury, 100%, you're right. You shouldn't have any concerns. Saquon Barkley shouldn't have any concerns as far as that. A totally unproven commodity calling the plays? Yeah.
I'm just saying on April 21st, leading up to the draft, because that's where my head is right now, draft, I'm not worried about the play caller. On April 21st.
That's fine.
I didn't like the hiring process.
That's fine. Well, again,
not to change history.
And again, the best candidates were off the board.
Yes.
And that's part of it. You had to search for what you got.
Now, everybody that we've talked to as well, reporters, Jeff McClain, they think it was a good hire, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm. They also thought Brian Johnson was.
Yeah.
I tried to.
The Brian Johnson one, I will say, made sense.
More sense than Kevin Petullo.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. Not even close.
More accomplished than Kevin Petullo.
And he was destined to be an offensive coordinator at the time, right?
Yes.
Everybody, signs were pointing to future offensive coordinator in the NFL.
He'd already been a top 10 program's offensive coordinator in college football. He'd already called plays. He'd already done all these things that Kevin Petullo has never done.
Right.
So
we'll see
Brian Johnson was a much more legitimate hire. Didn't work out, but we'll see.
Did not work out.
See what
happens. This one will. All right, what do you got on the text line, Connor?
Kenny checks in and says, I liked Kellen Moore as OC, but if he was a genius, why did the offensive line have to get changes done to the offense? I agree that Kevin Petullo might be a bad hire, but if not him, who do you want? I want to hear other available options for this past cycle.
I will say this.
I got go on.
They went to Nick Sirianni's office. I don't know, maybe Kellen Moore did want to run the ball more. It was that the head coach still has say on.
The head coach wanted an offense run, more pass happy. That was his desire, and it was the job of the offense coordinator to deliver what he wanted.
Correct.
That's why it happened.
And that's why the offensive lineman didn't go to Kellen Moore's office. That's why they went to Nick Sirianni's office.
Go look at Kellen Moore.
And once again, credit to Nick Sirianni for going, all right, let's try it.
Look at Kellen Moore in Dallas. Calling plays, 3 top 5 offenses in his career. Calling plays. He loved to run the ball.
There's a reason why the first 4 weeks of the season we were saying this doesn't seem like the offense.
Like Kellen Moore's offense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just to respond there, what else we got?
All right. We also have check-ins on what you can feel good about with the Philadelphia Eagles. This texter says the Birds have always been focused on the trenches, even though that's not sexy. That's what they do that others in the NFL do not, and that's why they're always in the conversation at the top of the NFL each year.
And that was an acquired taste for a lot of us, Connor. I think a lot of people had to.
I still hate it.
I love it. I love it, but I absolutely was back to you. I was like, come on, give me something a little sexier sometimes.
What do you hate?
It's boring.
It is boring.
Do you like winning?
Yes. I don't hate it from the winning perspective. I hate it because, I like Travis Hunter. I like quarterbacks.
Then you know what? Next year they'll stink so that they can try to get next year's Travis
That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying the fun, exciting picks to me are what I want to see. And I understand that what the Eagles do wins, and that's a great thing, and they should keep doing it.
Last year was fun and exciting.
Yeah.
Quinyon Mitchell was a fun and exciting pick.
That.
You have the damn drop for Cooper DeJean.
Absolutely.
Last year was a fun and exciting draft for you.
Understand what I'm saying here. I'm wrong, but what I like is the fun, exciting
And
thing.
I moved from being where Connor is to being an understanding that this is my lot in life. And by the way, it's a great lot in life that I once disagreed with.
The Eagles are feeding me broccoli. I'm never going to like broccoli, okay? But it's good for you, and it's important for health stuff.
I love that they were a boring team last year because they did what was best for them. When Nick Sirianni was saying, I don't care that people think we're boring, I love that he said it. Like, that was one of the best answers that he had during any of his press conferences. And, oh, by the way, he had a lot of good press conferences last year after the Browns fiasco.
He did slow down,
I love that he said, I don't care that we're boring. Because you know what? As long as you're winning, who gives a damn? And then they weren't boring in the Super Bowl. They were
very exciting.
They were ferocious. But, yeah, I mean, that boring team that they were last year was what was best suited for them. They are suited to be boring. Jalen Hurts is a boring person.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts
They are suited to be boring.
Yeah, chicken and rice is the best meal you can have if you're trying to get into great shape.
And, oh, by the way, Saquon Barkley's not boring.
Is that brown rice, Connor?
I guess so. I never do it because I'm an idiot and I do stuff that's not good for me. Just like I want the Eagles to draft players that are exciting, but maybe not the best for them, and that's why I'm not the GM of the team.
Yes, I heard the white rice isn't very good. Or at least that's what a person who's been helping me slim down says.
No, brown rice.
Stay away from the white, go to the brown.
I think it all is within reason. That's how I always look at it. Or you just don't.
Not when you're trying to take off.
Or you just don't eat carbs.
Once you get into shape, all is within reason. But until you get into shape.
Yeah, I did the no carbs for my wedding, lost a bunch of weight, and then all of a sudden I looked like a skeleton. Oh, it's time to stop doing that. All right, it's time now for the key three. 3 best minutes from today's show.
Sounds good, Skeletor.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
I am in just such a state of bliss and a state of confidence with this Eagles team that whatever formula they have when it comes to their evaluation with the draft, right?
Okay.
I know that it was bad 5 years ago, and there were some drafts before that. But as everybody does in life, everybody adapts to what they've done in the past, things that they can get better with, things that they can totally, completely reverse, which the trajectory of the draft was going in a very bad way for the Eagles. Whatever they have figured out, scouting department, how they read the draft board just so excellently last year with Quinyon Mitchell in the first round, knowing when to trade up for Cooper DeJean, knowing when to trade up a couple years ago for Devontae Smith, knowing to jump the New York Giants who needed a wide receiver, and they got caught with their pants down and get Kadarius Toney. Whatever the Eagles' plan is right now, Johnny, it seems foolproof.
Are the Eagles going to be favored at Buffalo next year? I'm going to tell you right now, they will not be. They will not be. They will not be favored at Buffalo. I'm not sure they're going to be favored at Kansas City.
Now, let me ask you real quick.
Okay.
Are we talking opening lines before the season starts?
Opening lines.
Or are we going to talk?
No, like opening lines. That's all we can talk about right now.
Yeah,
right. But I'm saying,
they would not be favored.
Let's say they're playing each other week 4.
Well, we can't do that because we don't know what happened the first 3 weeks. We got to talk about it now.
Okay.
They will put out the lines for all the games. Right after the schedule comes out, they'll put it out. The Eagles will not be favored at Buffalo. The Eagles will. I don't think they're going to be favored at Kansas City. I don't think they're going to be favored at Green Bay. I don't know that they're going to be favored at Minnesota.
Regardless of what the betting line is, I believe the Eagles can beat any team on their schedule. They're not going to go undefeated.
I think they could beat any team on their schedule, and I think they could lose to minimum 4, maybe 5 or 6.
Look, we already said 11 wins would be a great season for them. 12 wins would be
I think 12,
spectacular season.
I think 12 would be a great season, not 11.
And he's joining us now on the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business, big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next.
My brother, Freddy.
Good morning.
Well, you should feel that way because look at, like you mentioned, what the Eagles been able to do, and think about if they had gotten their way back when they had a chance to run Howie Roseman out of that city, how that organization really looked, and we don't know where that organization would be. They decided to stay the course with him, and he's one of the smartest general managers that we've seen in the last 25 years, and not just in the National Football League, with his ability to build a team and build a roster the right way and not keep mistakes in the building. If you're not working out, he's going to move on and bring in somebody else, whether you're a coach or whether you're a player. And when you have a team that's been able to do that in a certain city, it raises the votes for all the other cities, all the other teams in that city. If you're a Philadelphia Phillies fan right now, you're hoping your team won't flame out in the playoffs like that, what happened last year against my New York Mets. You're hoping that the Philadelphia 76ers will be able to get that right. You hope that the Philadelphia Flyers will be able to get that right. When you have a team that is so connected to a city like the Philadelphia Eagles are, and they're able to do that, it's able to put that pressure on all the other teams in your city to even get close to their level. And that's what the Philadelphia Eagles have been able to do.
Have you reached any sort of state of zen with the Eagles, or are you still looking for things that could potentially concern you going into week 1 of the NFL season? All right, that's key 3. 3 best minutes from today's show.
It's a fun day today.
Yes, it was.
Fun day. A little wild, though.
I'm in my state of zen. I can't
State of zen,
I can't be wild when I'm in a state of zen, at least with the Eagles. Phillies don't provide that for me. Sixers don't provide that for me.
Oh, boy.
You know.
Nah, Sixers aren't providing much at all.
No. And, the NBA playoffs continue, and I will be watching without my Sixers.
Yeah. It's okay. We'll get back to one of these years. One of these years.
They'll be a playoff team next year.
If healthy.
There's no way they could be less healthy.
Yes, they could.
Is there?
You could have
really?
Joel Embiid could miss the entire year.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, but Maxie McCain as well.
Joel Embiid. If Joel Embiid misses the entire year,
yeah.
Paul George does what? What he give? If Paul George gives you last year, they're a borderline playing tournament.
Yeah, again. Yeah.
And I think
they'll be a playoff team.
And I think the East has a bunch of teams that are better. Well, they're playing tournament.
Look, I will continue to say it. I love Tyrese Maxey. They do not win without Joel Embiid.
Nope.
No matter how much we love little baby Tyrese, he is not good enough to carry a team.
Nope. If
he's Cooper Flag,
he'd be your number 1. Well,
okay.
Wait a minute.
Now we're just doing Cooper Flag all the time.
Capture the flag, baby.
They got to capture the number 1 pick first before they can capture the flag.
And
right? We still don't know if they're going to capture the pick.
Yeah, they might even not. Remember, there is a big chance, 1 out of 3 chance, they don't capture the pick, which would be a disaster.
Yeah, so before you start doing hashtag capture the flag, let's do hashtag capture the pick
first.
They got to do that first, man.
Hey, H&H Heating and Air Conditioning made a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research. You should be getting your spring tune-up, by the way. Yeah. Check out 975thefanatic.com/AACR. Those people at H&H, they care about cancer research. You should too, because cancer research saved my life 3 times over.
Does Aaron Nola have his best outing of the season today?
No.
Oh, my gosh.
But he wins.
No, but he wins, eh?
Yes.
You guys both very
he
quickly.
had a good outing in St. Louis. They just got shut out.
I think the St. Louis outing, I was like, what more do I want out of him?
And he was good against the Dodgers, too. And they just didn't score.
The Dodgers, Dodgers was okay.
He had a quality start.
You
can't give up multiple home runs. He's got to stop the home runs. Again,
he hasn't given up one in the last 2 outings. It's good.
And that's hopefully something we'll see tonight.
Right,
I also think they will win the series against the Mets.
Yeah. Just take care of business in game 1. Please don't make me have it to do another Aaron Nola show tomorrow.
Then you'd have Wheeler and Wednesday.
And Sanchez tomorrow.
For the day game. Okay, I would feel good. You win tonight, then you're feeling really good.
We might be talking sweep. All right, Mike Missanelli show comes your way next with Bill and Ray. Also, your next chance to win $1,000 starts right at 10 o'clock. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Another day closer to the